We just chat. I mean, I'll be honest.
Preview the game.
I'm pulling my hair out because they should just said to me, Kev, how should we do this?
Why have they done it now?
All they had to say is how many build-ups to a sporting event have I done over the years?
Yeah. It's easy. Let's preview the game. Who's in form for the two teams?
They won't sort of engage. So there's the three of us chatting. I mean, I would have said that we'd have a 2 minute, only 2 minutes. Wouldn't have any more choice. But to include in the film.
Yeah, we think so. Yeah.
I mean, I've suggested.
Why are they not doing it? Speak to me.
I will. But I have to be careful. I don't moan every time.
I'll tell them. I'll just say.
I know you will. Just say that. All you've got to do is turn that camera
around. We sit in the stand. And you chat, and it just makes it more professional.
This might be one of those where it's the first one, and then we move on from there. Client, yeah. Have you got their numbers as well?
Yes.
Good. Right. And then Sports Extra are coming to me at. Right. And then Sports Extra are coming to me at 25 past. So I've just got to introduce them as well. What? Another balance and act, just for a change. Right, so Ems, that will be you. And Dors, I'll plug you in. Well, no, I know, but I'm just aware.
What was Steve-O?
Steve-O's 47.
Earl Drummond's having a great competition.
He is, isn't he? Fourth highest run scorer so far.
51 average at 167 strike rate. Wow.
Okay, thanks. Cheers.
That's almost in your league.
Certainly
is he doing it?
below mine.
He's done it, so in theory,
Great, well done.
that'll work. Let me call my studio and tell them.
Well done for.
Have you got your flexes on, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll just talk into it and then they can hear.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That'll come up in a minute.
For this preview stuff.
Right. So Ben,
I'll move up.
I might just get you to move over that way. Ben, you come up to here. I'll bring you over. And then Ems, just bring a chair to sit on the other side of that if you want to, with that microphone. So it's quite a long lead. So you can sit by the door, stand by the door, or however you want to do it.
Do I need to actually properly talk?
You just hold it. Just hold into it. Just hold it like that. All right.
It's all in, all on.
We've got about 2 minutes.
This is all working then.
Your lead.
It will be. Yeah. Should we? Yeah. It was working yesterday. Just want to test it. 1, 2, 3. Go.
Hello, hello, hello.
You go.
Hello, 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 hello. Yeah.
I think it's other people's kit.
Really?
Well,
was that
not me. That's the same ones. I knew they were fine, but I don't know what happened. Sometimes they do just go funny for no reason. Right, we need to check.
The Kent second, they are, aren't they?
Third.
Yeah.
Go top if they win. Sussex.
It's 2 points for a win, isn't it? Yeah, they go top.
If Sussex don't win,
Are they playing today? Sussex are strong, aren't they?
they're a good team. Good bowling attack.
I think the sides are up on Bridging Field.
I've got the Kent side.
I'll double check.
Then I'll.
Okay.
Great, well done, mate.
Yeah.
Is it Saint or?
Fingers crossed that all works.
Right, we've got about a minute, so we're all right.
Unchanged, yeah.
Lovely.
So we are. Links with these also for whether right. Just let the boys know.
Okay, excellent. 1,
across to us.
Our DAB is going to be your.
Okay. Yeah, no problems. But we'll drag you in for a couple of minutes in a minute. All right. But we'll just chat initially. Are you all right with Dawes there for a minute just while we? I haven't done a rota yet.
No, don't worry about
I've got to do a top of the hour. You've got to do the top of the hour. So I think it's fairly safe to say that me and Ben will start.
Yeah.
A bit like we did at Lords, and then I'll work out about it as we go. All right. Two things like that. Yeah. Right. Here we go.
So what do they show that to? What do they show that camera to?
God knows. And a very good afternoon from the Aegeus Bowl, where we are 15 minutes away from the start of this T20 Blast South Group match between Hampshire and Kent. The news on the toss is that, well, Hampshire are batting first, so Hampshire probably more out of these two sides need the win. Kent have actually chosen to field, so I think we can safely say that Kent have won the toss and Hampshire are going to bat. I'm Kevin James, and to take you through these first 15 minutes or so up to the start of play, alongside me is Hampshire's injured all-rounder Liam Dawson. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, everyone.
Great to have you back with us. And the Southern Vipers batswoman, and we'll say congratulations to her straight away. Emily Windsor, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Good to be back. Been here all weekend, so.
Yeah. Can we just say, first of all, congratulations to Southern Vipers into the Rachel Hayhoe Flint Trophy final 2 weeks yesterday. That final will be at Edgbaston, and you're there with a game to spare. Yeah,
it's fantastic news. Obviously a new competition, and to get off of, as we have, winning 5 from 5, we couldn't have asked more from a group, and we got some fantastic talent, and it's just been great, really, to be on the field and playing at some fantastic grounds.
So we'll talk more about that as the day goes on, but of course we're focusing chiefly on this match. Let's give you the team news. Hampshire are unchanged from the side that lost to Middlesex. So Hampshire are James Vince, the captain, Tom Alsop, Sam Northeast, Joe Weatherly, Ian Holland, James Fuller, Lewis McManus, the keeper, Chris Wood, Ryan Stevenson, Mason Crane and Shaheen Afridi. And Kent for this game are Daniel Bell-Drummond, the captain. He's in good form. We'll talk about that in a moment as well. Zach Crawley, I think he may just have scored a double 100 here recently for England. Joe Denley is in the Kent lineup. Heino Kuhn, Alex Blake, Jack Leaning, Jordan Cox, who will keep wicket, Grant Stewart, Matt Milnes, Freddie Klaassen and Imran Khayyam. So just before we have a chat with Liam and Emily here, let's just look at the South table, because it doesn't make for great reading from a Hampshire point of view. Top of Sussex, they have 9 points. Then comes Surrey with 8. Kent have 8. Middlesex have 6. Hampshire have 3. And Essex 2. Liam Dawson's been watching the last couple of games with us on the live commentary. And I think the one area where Hampshire can certainly improve is the batting.
Yeah, without doubt. If we're as a group, I think they'll be a little bit annoyed how it's gone in the last couple of games, especially the game against Sussex, needing 8 and over after 10 overs, and then also the same at Lords, around 8 and over as well, needed after 10 overs. You know, they've made, probably didn't learn from their mistakes from that Sussex game, and it's such a game where confidence is huge, and that 2 of their big players, James Vince and Sam Northeast, have to step up to their senior players.
Yeah, James Vince hasn't been in great nick. I know he's been missing Emily for quite a while, hasn't he? After the, I think it was the one-day international against Ireland was his last game. That was in early August, and then only returned to the Hampshire fold last Thursday against Sussex here. He's looked a little bit out of form. It's difficult, isn't it? Because Hampshire are looking to him. There's not a lot of firepower at the top there.
Yeah, I think, but he's a quality player, isn't he? And he's delivered for Hampshire for many years. And as you said, he's had a period without training, but it just takes one innings and then it kick-starts. And in this format, that's the beauty with it, really, is if once you get going, once you get some runs, you tend to then go on. And as Dawes said earlier, you get confidence, then you fly. So let's hope today is James Vince's day.
Now, the wicket at Middlesex, we weren't sure, were we, originally? It was probably not quite as good a pitch as we thought. But this one is a new pitch here. So what are we expecting?
I think, well, it looks, if you're looking at it from up here, I haven't been out there, it looks a pretty good wicket for the Aegeus Bowl. It's very white. It'll be fairly hard underneath, and it'll be easy pace for, you know, for the batters as well. As the game goes on, with the sun on that all day, it could start to hold a little bit. So the spinners could come into it, and at the end of the innings sort of balls into the wicket could hold a little bit as well. But it'd be a completely different wicket to the wicket that was played on against Sussex here. That I think that was the 4th game on it.
Yeah, it was. It stuck a little bit, didn't it, earlier on? There was a bit of dew later on. We won't have any of those problems today.
No, not at all. I think it's actually a good thing that Hampshire are batting first as well. They've obviously lost their last 2 games chasing, and that builds a lot of pressure when you have to chase as a group, especially when you're out of form. So for Hampshire to bat first, I think that's actually a good thing for the boys.
Yeah. Are you surprised then that Kent have put Hampshire in here?
Not at all. I think, as if you're from Kent's point of view, they'll be thinking, okay, these lads need to step up. They're not scoring runs. Let's get them in early, put the pressure on them. So I'm really not surprised Kent have put them in. And I think on a deck like this, it's probably not going to make too much difference either way as a new pitch.
I think it just shows the confidence of the 2 teams as well. You've got Kent at one end of the table challenging to qualify. Hampshire probably not going to qualify now. It's going to be very hard to. But if Hampshire are playing well, you know, they'd have wanted to bowl first and chase a score with a small boundary. So it just shows where the 2 teams are a little bit confidence-wise.
Now, we do have a shorter boundary one side. We had that at Lord's on Saturday. We also had a short boundary in the game at Hove, which Hampshire narrowly lost that as well. Certainly at Hove, I felt that the Hampshire batsmen were targeting that short boundary to the leg side. Maybe not so much on Saturday. Maybe the confidence has gone anyway. But do you think that they're going to sort of look for that same area as well? I mean, if you're out of nick, I mean, listen, fortunately, you've hardly ever been out of nick. But if you're out of nick, I'm being kind. But I mean, you know, if you walk out in a game like this and you see a short boundary, do you think, I'm not in great nick, which most of these Hampshire batsmen aren't, and you see the short boundary and you think, now's my chance?
Yeah, I think you do have to think like that in this format of the game. But it also works the other way as well. You sometimes think that if I get out trying to hit to this small boundary again, I look silly, I haven't got more runs. So it's a massive confidence game. I mean, if you watch somebody who's in form in T20 cricket, they wouldn't even think about the boundary sizes. They wouldn't care where they're hitting the ball. They back themselves to hit it over the fielders. So that's just where Hampshire are as a group at the minute. And it'll be interesting to see, you know, if they have learnt from their last 2 games, which you'd hope to think that they have.
Certainly have. Emily, do you find that when you go out to bat and you see a short boundary one side?
To be honest, it's not really my style of play. Like, I'm more of a take the strike, hit 2s, and I think I'd be looking at the other side thinking I've got a good opportunity here to run hard. And I actually think at this ground sometimes twos can be key, and to that, because it's obviously a massive playing surface, if you're out of nick, sometimes just hitting those pockets and running hard, getting 2s, that you're still striking at 200 if you do that every ball. So that's also an option, especially I think for someone like Sam Northeast, who's more of a sort of a stroke player compared to maybe a James Vince who likes to hit the boundaries.
Let's talk a little bit about the Kent side, because they're having a little bit more success than Hampshire. They won 3 in a row, beating Surrey, Sussex and Essex, but their previous game they lost to Sussex, so they're looking to get back to winning ways. Ben Watts, the BBC Radio Kent guy, I thought he might join us in a minute, but I know you were saying that they're already down in that part of the world. They're already worried that one defeat and they might end up doing what they did last year and sort of blow up in this competition a bit.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to think, you know, they've learnt from what happened last year, but as I said, they're in a very strong position. They have a lot of batters in form. Bale Drummond obviously scored a lot of runs for them. Joe Denley back in the side will be a massive confidence, not just with bat, with the ball as well. They've got some firepower with Alex Blake as well, who's only on a white ball contract. So they've got a very well balanced team, and there's no surprise they're doing well in this competition.
Yes, and of course a certain Zach Crawley as well, Emily, yeah, who looked absolutely awesome in the second innings of the 4-day game down at Canterbury, the last of the Bob Willis Trophy round of matches when Hampshire were down there. I think he got 100 off 105 balls off the top of my head in a game where I think it's fair to say most people struggled to time the ball. It was a low-scoring game until that 4th innings where he actually made the game look pretty simple. And again, you know, he's off the back of a double 100 here, Emily. He's in good form, we know that. He's in good form in this competition as well. Liam mentioned Daniel Bale Drummond, but Zach Crawley's not too far behind as well in the run stakes for Kent. 200 here as well. He'd be licking his lips here, wouldn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And as Dorf said again, it's a confidence game, T20, and he's going to be flying with confidence, and he will feel like they've obviously, in the England bubble, he spent a lot of time here. So I'm sure it'll probably feel like a second home to him really this summer. But yeah, for sure, his confidence is going to be flying. It's going to be a big wicket for Hampshire when we go out to field.
Let's talk a little bit more about certainly the Hampshire side, because They're not going well. They've lost 4 out of 5 now. Just that win against Essex at Chelmsford, which is unusual actually, because it has to be fair, Dorse, you guys at Chelmsford have struggled over the last few years, so that was a standout performance. But are you quite? There's not a lot of options, is there? I mean, yourself injured, George Munsey, who was signed, the Scottish international. Is he a big? Let's go with George Munsey first of all. Played the first couple of games. Looks as though he can hit a mean ball. They miss him already, don't they?
Yeah, I think we're certainly lacking a little bit of power. You have James Vince, who scores, you know, at Vince's rate. He can hit good shots and score very freely, but apart from him, we don't have much power. And I think, as you said, Munsey is that ideal player that we're lacking at the minute. Someone to get off to a quick start and put some pressure on the bowlers. So you're certainly right. I'm surprised he's not playing today. I'm guessing he's not quite fit again through his side strain. But again, it's certainly something that we are lacking in. Hopefully, going forward, we can put that right. Yeah,
I mean, I spoke to him briefly the other day, and I thought, oh, he's borderline. He might be fit, but a bit of a problem for him, as the 2 umpires are making their way out into the middle here at the Ageas Bowl. Just to repeat, live T20 cricket. It's Kent against Hampshire. And welcome to BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra listeners as well. The sunshine is out here on the south coast. And I can tell you, just to remind you, that Kent won the toss and they have put Hampshire into bat. Hampshire are unchanged from the side that lost to Middlesex a little earlier. We've just been talking to Liam Dawson. Thank you very much, Liam Dawson. Hampshire's injured all-rounder. He's just going to take a break. Also, Emily Windsor is here, the Southern Vipers batswoman, and she's celebrating. Hopefully not too much after yesterday, the Vipers qualifying for the Rachel Hayhoe-Flint Trophy final with a game to spare. So we've been chatting, and alongside me here from BBC Radio Kent is Ben Watts. And we went through the Hampshire side, Ben, and worked out that Hampshire are unchanged from the side that lost to Middlesex. How about Kent?
There we go, I'll turn my mic on. A slight change from Kent's point of view. Matt Milnes is fit once again. He missed the previous... I wonder what that noise was. Sorry, I'm going all wrong with the technicals. So Matt Milnes is back in the Kent side. He replaces Callum Haggett. Milnes picked up a little bit of a groin strain. He was off the field, wasn't he, in that final day of the Bob Willis Trophy game between the two teams. So he is fit once again. So he comes in for Callum Haggett. That's the one change for Kent. Joe Denley played the previous game against Sussex as well, so he is in the side and he is going to open the bowling. By the looks of things, all raring to go, the leg spinner. The 2 Hampshire batsmen, Tom Alsop and James Vince, out in the middle. And we're ready to get up and underway. Yeah, and James Vince is not in great nick, which is a bit of a worry for Hampshire. We've just been discussing how Hampshire rely on him big time, especially these days, and has hardly scored a run in the 2 games that he's played so far. So Kent, whose previous game they lost to Sussex, Hampshire have lost their last 3, so both these teams looking for a victory here. Here's the first delivery. It's wide outside the off stump. Now we're well to the right here as we look. It's Denley with the ball in his hand, driven out into the covers. We're at the pavilion end here at the Ageas, normally at the hotel end, so we are at the southern end of the ground looking back towards the hotel. And the pitch is well to our right, it's a short boundary on the east side of the ground. That's driven hard up to mid-on. And that'll be a single. Heino Kuhn doing the fielding there, just to our left. And Hampshire underway, 1 without loss.
Yeah, very keen today. Couple of minutes before 2 o'clock. Up and running.
Yeah. Got a bus to get back home, back to Kent. You don't want to get started by too early, you'll be in the rush hour.
Fielders in the deep at mid-wicket and now long off for the right-handed James Vince. Was mid-wicket and long on for the left-hander.
It's Denley, bowls and Vince drives out on the onside, and that'll be a single. So this is a new pitch. Most of the wickets here have been concentrated in the middle with the T20 internationals, the test matches and what have you, but this is to the right there of that, and this should allow the ball to come onto the bat a little bit more, so might see a free scoring game, but Hampshire is certainly not in very good nick, because Alsop's down the wicket and he's stumped. Well, there's probably a prime example there, because Denley bowling off spin hasn't really turned that ball, and Alsop just gave himself a little bit of room, tried to drive that through the covers, and completely missed the ball altogether. So he's gone, and Hampshire are 2 for 1, and their batting woes continue.
Yeah, tough start for Hampshire. I too was a little bit bemused by Kent's decision to perhaps chase. You would have thought on a brand new pitch, on a glorious sunny day like this, they'd want to come out and bat and blast a big score on the board, but clearly decided that they've had success in the past here at the Ageas Bowl chasing, opted to go with the ball and the field first, and already an early wicket. And Denley just is a little change up from what you would normally expect as an opening batsman in a T20. You would assume that you're going to get pace on the ball early on, but Denley likes to, or Kent like to use Denley in the power play. Just doesn't really tend to turn it much, the leg spinner, but he can just coax batsmen out early on. Seems to have a bit of a golden arm, and he's managed to do that for Kent.
So the new man out for Hampshire is Sam Northeast. Needs no introduction to Kent listeners, of course, because formerly of those parts, and he's coming out and hoping to get this Hampshire innings underway. Yes, Kent have won the last 3 matches here between these two sides in this T20 competition. So here's Denley then from our commentary end, the Rob Bransgrove Pavilion end, and Northeast pushing well forward back to the bowler, and there's no run. Just to say, if I suddenly break into a 20-second update, it'll be for BBC Radio Sonnet listeners on the south coast. They're used to me telling them about Hampshire wickets falling, so it won't be any different. Here's Denley bowls, and that's turned away square on the leg side. Denley got a little bit excited there. May have straightened a fraction, and that is the end of the first over. A good one from a Kent point of view. Hampshire are 2 for 1. Just to remind you of the situation in the South Group, both these sides. Kent sit 3rd, Hampshire sits 2nd from bottom. They're 5th. Here's that update. Hampshire have already lost a wicket here, having been put into bat first. We've had 1 over, and already gone is Tom Alsop, stumped by Jordan Cox off the bowling of Joe Denley for a single. James Vince is on a single, so Hampshire are 2 for 1 after 1 over. Hampshire really do need to win this game. They're almost certainly out of it, but they'll certainly be out of it if they lose here today. Live commentary right now via the BBC Sport website and app. I'll do it. There's Freddie Klassen with the next over, the left-arm seam bowler. Plays for the Netherlands. 27 years old, Freddie Klassen. Just warming up there at the hotel end. He's going to be bowling to James Vince then, with a pretty bog-standard field. Ring of fielders on the off end, the leg side. Outside the off stump, and Vince leaves alone. Had a chat with James Vince after the game at Middlesex, and fully admits that Hampshire are struggling a bit in this competition. He didn't like the field in a couple of games ago. That certainly improved at Lord's on Saturday. The bowling was okay, but the batting certainly is a little bit of a worry, and he admitted that yes, he doesn't feel completely with it at the moment, but as we know, he's too good a player to ride him off too quickly. Here's Klassen bowls, and Vince pulls that away, and he gets wrapped actually where you don't like to be wrapped, and he's down on the floor. Normally, Vince rocks back on the back foot, pulls that away on the leg side, you look to the boundary. Now, my eyes are firmly fixed, not exactly where the ball hit him, but in the general area I'm looking at him.
Ouch.
Yes, he's still down. And not one Kent fielder is within about 20 yards of him. So Sam Northeast feels that he'd better go up and just check he's all right. Physio's going out as well, and Vince is still down. He's still down, James Vince. That's hurt. That has hurt. My word. No sympathy from Kent at all. Not one of them. Oh, is that Denley starting to walk towards him?
Well, nor from the commentary box to our left either, in truth.
No, that's true. Emily Windsor and Liam Dawson also seem totally unamused. I'm concerned, anyway. Let's put it that way.
Glad someone is up here, Kev.
So Vince is just making sure he's okay. Joe Denley was about the nearest of the Kent fielders that almost looked as though he was going to come up and say, oh, you're all right, mate. But I think even there he was, to say he was socially distant is putting too fine a point on it. He was a good 4, 5, 6, 7 yards away. So if he did say anything, he would have shouted it.
Well, for all the criticism that Freddie Klassen sometimes gets for not being quick enough, I think James Vince will tell you otherwise.
Certainly. So we've got somebody else coming out now from the Hampshire squad who's wearing these plastic pinnies that they have to wear.
Plastic
I'm
pinnies?
just wondering if his box actually has just been broken and another one's come out. Plastic pinnies, plastic overalls, plastic tops, I don't know. Pinnies, yeah, pinafores. Sorry, is that an old-time word, that one?
No. I knew what you meant. I thought it was a bib, but you're right. It's
well,
more
bib,
of a...
yeah, bib will do. Big bib. So they make their way off, the physio and the one of the Hampshire backroom staff, and Vince is just gathering his thoughts here with Hampshire 2 for 1, 2 balls of the second over here, having been put into bat first, and Clarkson is ready. The left arm over bowler comes in again, runs towards us and bowls, and Vince drives back to Clarkson, fields well, picks it up on the full.
It's good field up, Freddie Clarkson. Nicely done off his own bowling. 3 dot balls to start with for him. Extremely good start from the Kent Spitfires thus far here on BBC Radio Solent, BBC Radio Kent, BBC 5 Live Sports Extra. Hampshire 2 for 1 in the early stages on the live stream as well on the Hampshire Cricket website.
Here's Clarkson again then to Vince and bowls, and Vince pulls that away, gets it off the toe of the bat this time. Very uncharacteristic James Vince. You can tell he's out of nick here. That's 2 pull shots which he's missed out on, which normally, I wouldn't exaggerate, he never misses.
Yeah, it's strange to see James Vince in an awkwardness about the way he's trying to time the ball out there and almost trying to overhit it and hit it too hard, and it seems so graceful for him usually.
Take him a few balls to get used to things. Here's Clarkson again and bowls. It's a length ball and Vince just drives out into the covers. He's found the gap. Short boundary side. Bell Drummond's not cutting that off. And there's a boundary off the bat of James Vince. He's back. He's never been out, but he's back. Yeah. 6 for 1.
That's more like it. Just using the pace that was already offered to him from Freddie Clarkson. Just wasn't really much width, but just guiding it away square of the wicket. Nicely played by James Vince. He's up and running. 1 to 5, not out, northeast up the other end, yet to score. But yeah, it's a brand new wicket, isn't it? Having played on a couple of used ones here. Know the Vipers and a lot of England games here this summer, of course.
Here's Clarkson again then, and Vince pushes that on the up towards straightish mid-off. There's a gap there, so that's a comfortable single, and Vince will keep the strike. Hampshire 7 for 1, having been put into bat here, with Vince 6 off 7 deliveries, and North East has faced the 2 deliveries and yet to get off the mark.
I think from Kent's point of view as well, they'll be perfectly happy that it's a fresh pitch. Kent's batsmen like to have a little bit of pace on the ball when they're batting. Slower wickets, they tend to come a little bit unstuck, and used wicket might have been a good tactical ploy from Hampshire, but got a fresh pitch for their batsmen to potentially change their fortunes and get a score on the board. Couldn't be more perfect conditions for it here in glorious sunshine. Nice warm day here at the Ageas Bowl as well, as Matt Milnes is going to bowl from the pavilion end of the ground, running in. Full straight delivery, Northeast drives it straight back and hits the stumps at the bowler's end. Denied a potential scoring shot to get off the mark.
One other game going on in the South Group, which also got underway at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Sussex Sharks playing the Essex Eagles. Essex are batting first, already lost a wicket there, 2 for 1 in the second over. Later on today, Middlesex take on Surrey at Lords. That's at 6:15.
Milnes in again, back of length, Northeast pulling hard away to the leg side. There is a sweeper out in the deep, which is Jack leaning, so he'll keep it to 1.
And just after 6:30 this evening, the Yorkshire Vikings are taking on the Lancashire Lightning at Headingley.
Hampshire 8 for 1 here in Southampton. I don't want to be all Kent biased and everyone in Kent dislikes Essex, but it's a bit of a limp defence of their T20 Blast title at the moment from the Essex boys.
Well, I mean, I have to say, in Hampshire, with Hampshire's form being it is at the moment, Hampshire winning there probably does say a little bit.
Milnes bowling down the leg side to Sam Northeast. Wide signalled. Kent had just actually moved a slip into play. So an aggressive bit of captaincy from Daniel Bell-Drummond, who has continued to marshal the team despite the return of Joe Denley, who is the club vice-captain. Club captain Sam Billings with the England squad at the moment. In that one-day series against Australia, maiden one-day international 100 in the first game. As Milnes bowls full of length on the leg stump, whipped away by the former Kent skipper North East. Out towards a leaning in the deep once again. Keeps it to 1. Milnes, as I mentioned just before, we got up and running back in the Kent side today, replacing Callum Haggett, shaking off a little muscle injury.
So talking about Hampshire's batting woes, Kent's batting is pretty much okay, isn't it? Bell-Drummond's in great nick, Crawley.
Yeah, certainly at the top of the order they've been really firing, minus the previous game, as this one is full when on the stumps from Milnes. It's just with a little bit of a leading edge into the onside. I think, yeah, the first instance against Sussex where they lost their previous game was the first time the opening pair of Bell-Drummond and Crawley had got less than 49 in the tournament so far as a first wicket stand. Other than that, they've had a couple of scores in the 80s off the power play overs. As Milnes is in once again, back of length, whipped away. This could be 4 behind, square on the leg side. Leaning's not going to be able to cut that off, so it's been nicely placed by James Vince, just tickled off his hip using the quick boundary. The ball racing away, pace off the bat. 14 for 1 Hampshire.
That's what we'd like to see. I think that hopefully James Vince can stick out there long enough and play himself into nick. I think this wicket will suit him.
Milnes once again in and bowling, full straight delivery, drives up towards Heino Kuhn, who shies at the bowler's end. North East is back and home. Dot ball to finish the over. Hampshire 14 for 1 after the opening 3 overs. Here having been asked to bat first by Kent, and I think that'll be the one perhaps worry from Bell-Drummond's point of view, that having chosen to field first, if he wins the toss, sticks Hampshire in and James Vince gets a few, then he'll perhaps might be ruining that decision. But at the moment, Kent will be happy with the position as things stand, you would say.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the abandoned game, Hampshire batted first and didn't get a great score down in Canterbury. And poor old Kent, well, 139 for 6 Hampshire were. Poor old Kent raced away, 52 without loss off 4.1 overs, needing another 5 balls for a game. They were way, 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 way ahead of the Duckworth-Lewis.
Yeah, 30 for 3 Hampshire made in the power play at Canterbury, and as you say, only got 139 on the board.
It's Denley bowls and Vince comes down the wicket and drives it up to deep mid-off. It's Kuhn out there as well. Looks like him. It's a long way away. 14 for 1 Hampshire, 15 for 1 Attila Live. Vince has moved on to 11. It brings North East back on strike. Denley bowls and North East gets a full delivery, splits the field behind square on the leg side. Ball's running towards the boundary. It won't go all the way. Stewart's running after it, just palms it back. Throw comes in, and they've collected 2 runs.
I think that was actually Vince on strike there, so they've actually come
was
back
it?
for
Oh,
the
sorry,
third.
3. Sorry.
So
yep.
Vince to 14, couple for Sam North East. Interesting that Kent giving another over for Joe Denley in the power play.
You not normally bowl more than 1?
Normally we just bowl the first.
Now North East comes down and hits it just wide of mid-on, just. And it's just got enough on the ball to take it all the way over the rope. Intent there from Sam North East. Aggression coming down the wicket. Just got it wide enough.
Yeah, they did bowl Imran Khan as well in the power play against Sussex, and that decision backfired. He's been tight outside of the power play overs, but I think went for 20 in that Sussex game previously. So this is the first time really that Kent have had 2 spinners in the side. So interesting that they've given Denley another over after a tight first.
Denley bowling again. North East works that on the leg side or misfield. Bonus run there. Is that Milnes coming in quickly?
Yeah, Matt Milnes, uncharacteristic of him. He's a very good fielder.
Well, it's a couple of used wickets where he's fielding at square leg. We might just forgive him there because it looks fairly dusty and fairly rough around that sort of batting footmarks area, and we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. 23 for 1, as that's worked out hard on the onside by James Vince. There is a deep mid wicket. They'll run an easy 2. Big boundaries away to our left, not so away to our right. I would put an estimate at, what do you reckon, Ben? 50 yards at best, 55 yards at best on our right. And
yeah, 55
small
maybe?
in some ways, and then a good 65 and maybe even 70 in some areas away to our left, as Vince is on the back foot and works that up to mid-on, and there is no run. So 4 overs gone here at the GS Bowl. Hampshire having been put into bat, 25 for 1 and 11 runs off that Denley over.
Yeah, I think that'll be certainly something that Kent will have perhaps factored in when they've looked at the toss and thought, right, we're going to be chasing on this wicket. Shorter boundary one side. Certainly the likes of Alex Blake will be eyeing that up later on in the day.
Ben, I'll let you carry on, and I'm going to make way for Emily Windsor of the Southern Vipers.
Thanks very much, Kevin James. BBC Solent, BBC Radio Kent, BBC 5 Live Sports Extra here at the Ageas Bowl, as this one is played away square of the wicket down towards third man by Sam Northeast for a single. Matt Milnes continuing and bowling the 5th over of the Hampshire innings. Vince 16, Northeast 8. It's been a considered start from Hampshire after the loss of Tom Alsop. Stumped by Jordan Cox in the opening over off the bowling of Denley. Here's Milnes once again, coming a little bit wide of the crease, and this one's just chipped, but timed wonderfully by James Vince, deliberately lofting the drive over the top of extra cover and away for 4 runs. Hampshire 30 for 1, and Emily, James Vince just starting to re-find a little bit of form here.
Yes, you know, James Vince is fine in the middle of the bat when he hits over the extra cover region, and that was a fantastic shot by him. So fingers crossed he can keep finding that middle here for Hampshire. Good signs, 2 senior players at the crease, and both need to step up here really today for Hampshire.
Yeah, seems to be enjoying the extra pace on the ball, which Matt Milnes, probably the quickest of the Kent seamers, is providing. This is a full delivery on leg stump. It was half an appeal as it cannoned off the yellow leg guards of James Vince into the offside. Frustration from Vince that he hasn't perhaps whipped that away leg side. There's a deep square leg, but if he'd have got it behind square, probably would have gone for 4.
Yes, definitely, and I think he's just he's not quite as fluent as he you usually would see James Vince here, but some good signs. He's striking the ball well.
Milnes for the 4th time in the over. Slower ball, chipped back down the ground. Just seemed to run his fingers across that one slightly. Milnes, good bit of fielding by Heino Kuhn, running across to his left. Manages to keep that to 1, actually.
Yeah, very good bit of fielding that there, and he's holding his hip for it. I think he went down pretty hard, but this is what I love about T20 and short format cricket is all these stops and these reducing of runs really do matter.
Certainly do. Fielding dynamic as ever. Oh, another slower ball from Milnes, and Northeast had given himself room, was trying to hit the ball away square into the offside and ended up basically on one knee, looking behind him as the ball bobbled through to the wicketkeeper. Another dot from Milnes.
Yeah, I do feel pace off here really is effective, and pace off into the pitch. I'm expecting Kent to see a lot of slower balls from them as the innings goes, especially obviously at the death.
Yeah, brave to bowl it in the power play as well, though, when you've got, or haven't got that protection out in the deep. There's another one from Matt Milnes, and somehow that has missed the off stump, and it's gone all the way for 4 byes, or has it come off the bat?
Yeah, that went in between leg stump and keeper, and it just sort of kept going.
Oh, yeah, just a thin inside edge from Sam Northeast. I thought he'd completely missed it at first, and Milnes had managed to fox him. As it was a whisker away from leg stump. Northeast does get his boundary, though. 12 for him, 21 James Vince. Hampshire 35 for 1 at the end of the 5th over.
Yes, I think Hampshire will be relatively happy here so far. I think it's been previously, we've seen lots of quick wickets fall. So just to be 1 down, 1 over left in the power play.
It's going to be Freddie Clarkson who's going to bowl it. So Kent will have used a couple from Denley, a couple from Milnes, a couple from Clarkson in this opening 6 over period. So far we've seen them really quite mix it up in terms of the seam bowlers that they've had, like Groneveld, who's ill for this one, and
in comes Clarkson to Vince. That's hit. That's a thick outside edge. There's a man at cover and he's running for it and he drops it. That's a big drop. You feel like that could be a lifeline for James Vince there. He is dropped here on 21.
And of all the people to drop it, it's Joe Denley, who is one of the safer pairs of hands in the Kent team. He didn't pick it up originally. He was very slow to move, Denley. And eventually when he did lurch forward around about 10 yards, get into position, he'd got there despite the fact that he was slow to pick up the ball. But the ball's just popped in, popped out the hands. Vince with a massive lifeline on 21.
In comes Klaassen again from the Hilton end, and the bowls that's tried to turn down to third man will be no run from northeast.
Yes, a Joe Denley of all people.
I don't know if it'll be interesting when I speak to Dorse when he comes on air, whether actually, because they're used to crowds being in these stands and having played down there, it's actually quite hard to see the white ball coming out of these stands. So
very blue sky today as well, I guess. Up in the sunshine, perhaps.
In comes Klaassen again to northeast. Bowles again pushes that into the offside. They come through for a quick single.
But yeah, I think the point I was making before it was topped up in the air from James Vince was that Grant Stewart sometimes bowled in the power play. Tim Groneveld, who's ill and unavailable for Kent in this one, has. They've really mixed it up in previous games. So the fact that they've gone 2-2 and 2 for Denley, Klaassen and Milnes is a slight change up in terms of their plans and their thinking, which suggests that after the Sussex defeat on Saturday, Kent have just gone away and analysed what they can change in terms of their tactics.
Cover and square out here then as Klaassen bowls to Vince. That's a short ball and he sways out the way of it. They've called a no ball here and they don't come through for a single. Northeast almost gets down to stand next to James Vince and go back.
So those are the no balls that aren't free hits, when they're the short ball over shoulder height. But it's a rule change a couple of years ago, wasn't it, that it's no ball rather than wide.
Yep. 39 for 1 here then, Hampshire. Klaassen in again to James Vince. He bowls and that's turned into the onside. That man at deep square will do the fielding. They think about 2, but they don't. They stick for a single. Vince moves on to 23.
And they did that, am I right in thinking they did that on the basis that if you did get something of your bat on it, it can still be a no ball, can't it? Because it's so high. If you play a tennis shot and somehow make contact, it's therefore a no ball, and otherwise you wouldn't be punished for a wide for bowling it that high. You can't play an orthodox cricket shot to it, so it's a no ball.
Klaassen to northeast, and that's turned into the onside. They come through for a quick single again. Northeast will move to 14, 41 for 1. 1 ball remains of this power play for Hampshire. And I think they'll be relatively happy here with how things have been going previous games.
Yeah, 2 for 1 after the first over, 9 for 1 after the second. So it represents a mini recovery from this pair, just starting to build the momentum of the Hampshire innings.
In comes Klaassen to Vince, and that's down the leg side. That will be a wide. So Hampshire get another ball.
Yeah, a little bit sloppy.
Power play.
A little bit sloppy from the Dutch international with a no ball, and now this wide down the leg side. Trying to just tuck James Vince up in that instance. They've got boundary riders on both the off and leg side, deep cover and deep square leg.
Short boundary to our right, so in the offside. They're not going to want to let Vince free his arms as Klaassen bowls. Again, tucks him up, turns into the onside. To the longer boundary and deep square will do the fielding. That is the end of the over. 43 for 1, Hampshire, in the end of their power play.
Yeah, you can see what he was trying to do there, Klaassen. Like you said, Emily, the shorter boundary on the offsides, therefore he's not trying to bowl width. He's got mid on and mid off up in the circle because of the power play, so he's again not trying to bowl full length, so it was back of length into the hip, had protection out a deep square leg. That was the line he was going for, despite getting it wrong on the penultimate ball with a wide. Got it fine on the next one. So Hampshire 43 for 1 after the power play here in this T20 Blast fixture live on the BBC. BBC Silent, BBC Radio Kent, BBC 5 Live Sports Extra. You see the pictures as well on the Hampshire Cricket website. Grant Stewart is going to come into the attack for Kent. The 7th over of the innings. Did wonder if Kent might turn instantly to Imran Kayum, their other spinner. But they've gone for the seam of the Australian-Italian Grant Stewart.
Australian-Italian?
Yeah, well, he's basically Australian, but he's got an Italian passport. So, doesn't qualifiers, or doesn't need to qualify as an overseas. He's in and bowling a low full toss, really, to James Vince first up, which has been whipped away out towards deep backward square leg. So Kent now have fielders outside of the circle. We're outside of the power play at deep square leg, deep mid wicket, long on, long off, and then also Jack leaning out at deep cover. 44 for 1 Hampshire, having been asked to bat first here in the sunshine at Southampton. Full and straight once again from Stewart, and driven by North East up towards long on for a single.
Yeah, Stewart's going to be bowling very full here with this field. You can't afford to drop it short. The men up behind square on behind the bat. And 2 men out here on the rope.
Yeah, so far very full and straight. The first couple of deliveries he's bowled. It's in once more, and it's a good delivery, Yorker length. Wondered if that was it out the back of the hand, Emily?
I think that was a slowie, definitely, yes. Seems like James Vince had to wait a while for that to reach him. Right tactics here, though, from Kent. Taking pace off the ball.
Yeah, good stuff from Stewart. Big strapping fast bowler, broad shoulders in again. Classic outswing action, fires that into the pads of James Vince, and they'll scramble through for a leg bye here, the 2 Hampshire batters. 46 for 1 on the board. Just seeing the Kent physio running around the boundary's edge. Wonder if he's just going to give a little bit of treatment to Jack leaning, or somebody's called for his attendance. In again, Stewart again looked like a slower ball. North East going on the back foot and really had to wait before turning that away into the onside for a single. So the Hampshire batters quite happy to just tick things over in this over. Stewart hasn't really offered them up any bad deliveries thus far.
No, and I think Hampshire will be looking to have wickets in hand. They don't want to lose wickets quickly here.
Stewart bowls, quicker delivery, scramble for the line at the keeper's end, North East. It was a throw in from Matt Milnes, I think. He was trying to run him out, but the Hampshire man gets home. Hampshire 48 for 1 at the end of the 7th. Over a word from Emily Windsor, and then we'll hear from Liam Dawson.
Yes, that's one of those where I think as a bowler you wouldn't want a quick single in there. That literally went straight to him down at fine leg. A few steps off the ring next time, I think, for him. But good running from Hampshire. James Vince, 26 not out, off 26 deliveries, and North East, the other man, 16 off 14 at the crease. The wicket to fall earlier was Tom Alsop. He was dismissed, stumped off the bowling of Joe Denley in the first over just for the single. And there will be some more spin into the attack as I'm joined by Liam Dawson next to me. I feel like Hampshire will be very happy with this start.
Yeah, certainly. I think from the previous games, losing wickets in clusters, they haven't done that. They look like they're playing with a little bit more intent and a bit more smartly. So at the minute, it's going very well.
So Imran Khan round the wicket. He goes to bowl and then walks back.
I think it's his leaning, isn't it?
Oh, leaning, sorry. As that he bowls to Vince. Vince tries to sweep, and that's only found short fine leg.
Strange move, seeing you've got a left arm spinner, your main spinner not bowling yet. So I think leaning, I wouldn't even call him a part-timer. I think he's less than that. So this could be a good over for Hampshire to really target.
So he's got 3 men out on the leg side. As leaning comes in and bowls, North East sweeps, and there is a sweeper out there, and he comes round. They think about a couple, but it's just a single. North East moves to 17.
Yeah, it's an interesting move, certainly from the skipper, unless they're thinking Imran to come from this end to the smaller boundary and try and buy him wicket. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they do.
We'll save him for the later overs as leaning bowls and swept again by North East. It again beats that man at fine leg, and they come through for a single.
Looks a very good wicket, doesn't it? Looks completely different to the other night. It's a fresh pitch. So Hampshire will be happy that the batsman coming in will be able to not go in when the ball's spinning. It looks a very, very good wicket.
In comes leaning to North East and swept again. Come through for a quick single. There's a misfield, so they may think about 2, and they don't. North East picks up a single. He moves to 18, 52 for 1. What do you think's a good score here, Dorse? What do you think Hampshire will be looking to post?
I think anything over 160, that'd be a very, very good score on this ground.
In comes leaning, and that's swept away by
Shot.
Vince. He's hit that very hard. There's a man at long on, and he does exceptionally well to stop it there. Diving to his right, they come through for a couple.
It's outstanding by Alex Blake, isn't it? Deep long on there. Looked like a certain boundary, and he's dived full stretch to his right and saved 2 runs for his team.
And all those runs matters in T20 cricket. There's leaning bowls, and Vince down the ground, but only finds leaning the bowler himself. 54 for 1 at the end of that over.
I think Hampshire there, they'll be disappointed they only over went for 5 against, you know, the part-time bowler, but I think the intent was outstanding. You know, they looked to take him down. They hit the fielders hard. That's probably something that we haven't done in the previous 2 games, and that's nice to see from 2 very experienced batters out there reading the game situation, and hopefully the players coming in later down the order can watch these 2 and learn from what they're doing.
And I also think for those 2 that aren't necessarily a nick, the longer they spend in the middle, they're just going to start timing the ball again, and then they will eventually be finding the boundary. So I think for Hampshire, they'll be very happy that they're still here in the middle.
Definitely, that's exactly right. I mean, even when you're out of form in T20, you still have a little bit of time to get yourself back into form, and you know, these 2 are playing very nicely at the minute.
In comes Stewart to Sam Northeast. That's a low full toss. He'll hit the sweeper hard here at long on. Picks up a single.
Be interesting because Kent have obviously played some good cricket this year, so Hampshire will know that they've got a pretty strong batting lineup all the way down. So I think if we can get around 160, we're in the game. But they'll certainly need to take early wickets.
Yeah, and I think if we have some wickets in hand, there certainly is that firepower in the middle order, like James Fuller to come in at the end as Stewart bowls, and he's tried to hit that over the top of extra cover, and he goes 1 bounce to long off, picks up a single.
I think they're both playing good cricket shots, and you know, and hitting the sweepers very hard. And at the minute, they're a little bit unlucky not to be finding the gaps.
Update from another T20 score. Essex are 80 for 1 after 7 overs against Sussex in the other self-group game, so they're going pretty hard there. As Stewart bowls to Northeast, that's hit onto the onside. 1 bounce again finds that sweeper at long on.
I think it's certainly a time in the game now where one of these should look to start putting their foot down a little bit more. You know, we're coming up to 9 overs now, scoring under 7 and over, so you know, they've got themselves in, and it's definitely time for one of them to look to go now.
Would they be having that conversation as in one of us goes, one of us stays?
Yeah, without doubt, definitely.
In comes Stewart to Vince, and that's turned away on the onside, finds the man at short fine leg, come free for a quick single. Vince will move to 31, 58 for 1.
Yeah, I think that's something that we've lacked in the middle order. We've had no experience really in that middle order, and it probably showed the other day at Lords that, you know, one of the batsmen had to go a little bit earlier than what they did. But these 2 are certainly doing that now, which is good.
And who would you say would be the man that bats through out here out of these 2?
Oh,
In comes Stewart to Northeast, and he's tried to hit that over the offside.
it completely varies each game. It depends. You know, they'll be chatting out there. One of them might feel that they can take a certain bowler down. One of them feel that they might be timing the ball better than the other person. And that's the conversations they'll be having out there. There's no right or wrong which one to go, but they'll certainly know out there who it's going to be.
In comes Stewart to Northeast, goes to the leg side here. He's hit that hard, and that could be a boundary. Yes, that is 4 runs to Northeast. Swept away there, and a much-needed boundary for Hampshire. He moves to 24.
Yeah, it's probably not a great delivery to close the over out there. He's bowled a very good over, hasn't gone for a boundary, and he's tried to bowl a sort of a slower ball on leg stump with a small leg side boundary. So not the greatest of bowling there from Stewart. Probably should have got hit to the offside there if he wanted to get hit for a boundary.
62 for 1 then Hampshire. 9 overs gone. As Dawson said, one of those are going to be looking to go on, and I feel like one of these needs to actually go on and get that 50-plus score.
I think, yeah, without doubt. And I think this is the over. I think James Vince's strength is obviously through the covers, extra cover, and he'll favour the extra cover boundary here to the small side against Imran Khaim.
Left arm spin of Imran Khaim. You've got a deep cover out on the boundary, quite straight as he bowls, and Northeast advances. He goes for that boundary. There is long off will come round. They just pick up a single as a short boundary out there. Vince.
Yeah, he's going to have to be very smart here, the left-arm spinner. He won't be able to give any room to either batsman. They're both strong over extra cover, so he'd be looking to go a little bit more into the pitch, a little bit straighter, and getting hit to those deep mid-wicket and deep square leg on the leg side.
Longer boundary away to that leg side as Kyan bowls, and that's turned into that onside there. Think about 2 hit. Vince says no. That's good fielding out there. Quick to the ball.
Brilliant from Blake, wasn't it?
Every time he comes here and we watch him play, he's always that standout fielder. I think
Yeah. He's got enough time on his hands now. Only white ball contract, so he's got no excuse not to practice.
lots of fielding for him.
Yeah, exactly. Now this is a good move. They've obviously moved their extra cover to a manic point, and they've put a deep extra cover out. So this, they've realised that Vince is targeting that small extra cover boundary.
In comes Kyan to Vince. He advances, turns into the onside. That's
Bottom
a nice shot.
shot.
That split the sweepers. They definitely come back for 2 here, and that's a misfield. Probably should have been stopped there, but 4 runs to James Vince. Here moved to 36, 68 for 1 Hampshire.
Yeah, it's a great shot. I think he sort of knew Kyan wouldn't give him any room to free his hand, so he knew he was going to get a little bit straighter, and he's pierced the gap beautifully there.
Vince starting to time the ball here as well. That's a long boundary to our right. Good signs for Hampshire.
There's not many times you see, you know, Vince on 36 and face 34 balls either, so I think he's batting a little bit, but he's spending time in the middle, which is good.
Kyan to Vince, worked away into that onside again. That same gap there, think about 2. Northeast says no. Quicker to the ball this time, and he does not make the mistake. Vince moves to 37, 69 for 1.
This is ideal for Vince as well. You know, he's been a little bit out of form. You know, now he's laid a platform for himself to really go big, and he's got the tempo of his batting to really make up the strike rate as the innings goes on.
Kyan to Northeast. That's hit back to him, will be no run. And also, how important do you think it is for Vince that he's got that Northeast at the other end, so he's got that stable partner and he's not continually losing wickets?
No, definitely. I mean, you have to get partnerships in T20 cricket, and it's brilliant what they've done.
Kyan to Northeast, on the back foot there, hits the sweeper hard at mid-wicket, comes through for a single. He moves to 26.
I think this will give confidence to the change room as well. I think we'll feel that, you know, now is the time to starting to go, and the players coming in can see that the wicket's a good wicket. There's no excuse there, and hopefully they've got their plans sorted out and know where they're going to score when they do come in.
Yeah, and Kent are going to have to bowl well with the right options as we got that short boundary to our right to the leg side now.
Definitely, and it's never an easy ground to come in here and actually hit boundaries from ball one because of the size of it. So Kent will know that, and I'm sure they've talked in their bowlers meetings that, you know, the plans to go to with Hampshire's middle order batters.
In comes Stewart, still with ball in hand. He's bowled 2 overs for 12 so far, so very economical. As he bowls to Northeast, that's on leg side, and Northeast tried to heave that into the leg side, but no run.
I'd like to see, I don't know if they're going to do it, but I'd like to see James Fuller come in next. You know, we've laid a platform. You know, he can strike a big ball, and I think if he comes in next, it gives himself an over or 2 to get in, and he can really do some damage with his power hitting.
Yeah, I think it gives him that freedom as well, doesn't he? Because he's got longer, as you said, at the crease.
Definitely.
He's got a set batter at the other end. As Stewart bowls to Northeast, that's heaved away onto the onside. That's 1 bounce 4, that splits the fielder, and that's hit hard by Northeast. He moves to 30, 74 for 1.
It's a great shot. I mean, it's not the smartest of deliveries to be bowling that ball to that size of the boundary there, and Sam's put it away, which is brilliant to see.
Yes, shorter boundary, dropped the ball short, and Northeast punishes it. Stewart again, top of the mark. He's got 3 men out on that leg side as he bowls full toss, and that's hit even further by Sam Northeast. 6 runs to him. Nearly knocks out the paramedics in the stand.
He could have hit that anywhere, couldn't he? Could have gone out of Southampton, that ball.
He moves to 36. Good over this for Hampshire.
That is, yeah. I mean, that's a poor delivery. Stuart will know that. And I think this is what sometimes small boundaries can do to some bowlers. I think that was a no ball signal, so this will be a free hit. But it's amazing what a small boundary can do to some bowlers sometimes. They think more about the boundary than actually delivering the ball that they want to bowl.
Here we go then. Stewart to Northeast. 3 hit. He's given himself room. He's gone over the offside. There is a man out there, so they'll only pick up a single. But Northeast moves to 37, 83 for 1. And fantastic over so far this for Hampshire.
This is brilliant momentum being given to the Hampshire innings here. Putting Stewart right under pressure. He's bowled a couple of poor deliveries, and Hampshire have punished those, and he'll know now he's right under the pump.
In comes Stewart then to James Vince. Bowls. This turned away into the onside. Will only find the sweeper at mid-wicket. He comes through for a single.
Be interesting if they go Joe Denley again. I'm not sure how many bowlers they've actually used so far, but he could be sort of a wicket taker that Hampshire might target, and he might get a couple of wickets.
Do you think pace off as well here tends
without
to be?
doubt, yeah, very hard to hit.
In comes Stewart to northeast, gives himself room. This has gone up in the air.
This is out.
And that is caught by Blake at long on. So northeast dismissed for 37. That's the second wicket for Kent. 84 for 2.
I think looking at the replay, I think it's quite clever bowling. Slower ball, a little bit wider. Yeah, good bowling. Knowing that northeast was going to try and target that leg side boundaries, took all the pace off, bowled it a little bit wider to get out of the arc of the batsman, and a catch taken by Blake, so credit to the bowler there.
Joe Weatherly, the next man in for Hampshire, wasn't fuller as Dawson would like to have seen, but stroke player of Weatherly, and he's got an opportunity here to bat with his skipper James Vince.
I think Joe showed some signs of promise this summer. And he's played a couple of good T20 innings. I think if he can look to keep the intent up in this innings here, and you know, look to hit boundaries from ball one, clever cricket, I think that will take a lot of the pressure off James Vince.
Yes, definitely, and I think Weatherly, especially in the red ball, has impressed us. I think he's really come into his own this year.
Definitely, 'cause it's not, you know, opening the bat in England at a young age. It's certainly not an easy job to do, and he's come on leaps and bounds this year. And I think the good thing is he's batted time. You know, he's batted time and got to lunch a lot of times in the 4-day games, and made it a lot easier for those middle order players to come in and score some runs.
So James Vince will be on strike for the final ball of the Stewart over. As Stewart approaches and bowls to Vince, that's just played into the offside. Good running, and Vince will keep the strike. He moves to 39, 84 for 2.
That would really annoy me as a bowler. You know, you've bowled 5 balls, you've just taken a wicket. You knowing Vince probably isn't going to take a risk there after just losing a wicket. You'd want your fielders in the circle to be on 1 run, allowing then Kaim to bowl to the new batsman and trying to squeeze some dots that way. So probably not great captaincy. You know, tactically, you'd want to keep the new batter on strike for this over.
So you're listening to us here on BBC Radio Kent, BBC Radio Solent and BBC Radio 5 Live Extra. Myself, Emily Windsor, and next to me, Liam Dawson, who's unfortunately injured. And I'm sure he'd much rather be out there today.
I would.
Do you get frustrated watching?
I used to, but not now. I mean, you can't do anything about it. You know, it's part of the game. You've got to accept it.
Kaim to Vince, advances, turn into the onside. They think about 2, but the bowler does well. And Vince just picks up a single.
You obviously want to play every game, but you know, I'm 30 now. I'm lucky enough. I've played a hell of a lot of cricket in my career so far. So, you know, it's part of the game. I've been lucky with injuries, and there's nothing, you know, moaning or worrying about not being able to play. There's nothing you can do about that now. So, you know, fully ready to do all my rehab and get back for next season.
That's what Hampshire fans would definitely like to be hearing. As a mid-wicket now comes into play, as Kaim bowls to Weatherly, and he's reverse swept it, but can only find the man at backward point. No run.
Like that, obviously, very, very good shot from Weatherly there. No, there's only one person on the reverse sweep, so it's a very good percentage shot from him.
Yeah, they took that short third out and brought him into mid-wicket as Kaim bowls. Left arm spins down the leg side. That'll be a wide ball.
This is good straight away from Joe. You know, he's played a couple of sweeps straight away, limited risk, and he's dictating what the bowler does. You know, he's saying to the bowler that I'm not prepared here just to look for one. I'm going to try and look to hurt you.
As that short third now does come back into play as Kaim bowls, and that's tried to turn into the onside. Will be no run. 87 for 2 Hampshire. 11.3 overs gone.
Looking forward to the final?
Yes, certainly. So the Southern Vipers into the Rachel Hayo Flint final, which is a great achievement, and we've had some fantastic performances throughout our team as Kaim bowls, turned into the offside, come through for a quick single. Good running by James Vince, the skipper. Weatherly is off the mark.
It's been an exciting day.
Yeah, it will, and I've never played at Edgbaston before, and obviously heard and seen good things at that ground, so looking forward to ticking off another ground that actually in the women's game we haven't necessarily played at many fantastic grounds, and this year ticks off quite a few, which has been really good. As Kaim left arm around the wicket to northeast, Vince advances and hits up to mid-off, come through for a single. He moves to 41, 39 deliveries James Vince has faced so far.
What do you think Hampshire will get here? Do you think they'll be able to get up to 160?
From this start, I think only 2 wickets down. You'd like to think they could.
Certainly.
As Kyan bowls, Weatherly tries to sweep, misses outside the off stump there. That's the end of the over, 89 for 2.
It's a good over, isn't it? Only, was it 4 off the over there from Kyan, I think?
Yeah, 12 overs gone. I think here, as you said, Weatherly is really important. He's got to keep that impetus going in this innings. Otherwise, a lot of pressure then falls on James Vince, and you may see that reckless shot.
That's something that we haven't done well enough in this competition. We haven't, you know, as a partnership, probably took the pressure off the other person that's in. That's, you know, Joe's coming, he's trying to do that, so it's good. But this is a big over from Hampshire. Vince, obviously on 41, hitting to the small side against Denley, so this is an over that I feel that he could target, him or Weatherly, one of the two.
Tactical move as well, bringing Denley into the attack with that short boundary. They'll be wanting the wicket of the skipper as Denley bowls. He's gone for that leg side boundary, and that will be 1 bounce, 4 split in the sweepers, and James Vince moves to 45, 93 for 2.
It's a great shot. I mean, this is, you know, this is exactly what we haven't done, as I've said before, and it's nice to see that there's smart cricket being played with an aggressive nature. This is exactly what we need to be doing. It's good to see the senior players stepping up and doing that.
And would there have been lots of conversations, obviously, after the disappointing
certainly
start?
after the Middlesex game, to do it 2 games in a row, then yeah, without doubt.
Denley to Vince. He advances, he hits through the offside, and he finds the sweeper at extra cover here, come through for a single. He moves to 46.
I think that's the beauty of 2020 cricket, is knowing when to go, when to take that risk, when to sit in. And now Hampshire inverting the right to take a few risks to this small side, only being 2 wickets down with 7 overs to go, so it's well worth the risk.
In comes Denley to Weatherly, advances, and he's played into the onside. Vince
Oh,
wants a quick single.
Oh, terrible
reckless
throw.
Reckless throw.
Wow.
That probably should have been out there. The keeper, ball in hand, throwing back to the bowler, and that's not what you want, is it, as a bowler there? The ball launched at you.
Replay's coming up now. I mean, he's charged to the ball. Oh my, it's nearly killed Denley.
Would have been good for Hampshire fans. Wipe out the bowler as Denley bowls to Vince. That's played into the offside. Weatherly thinks about coming through for a quick single. This one could be out, but Weatherly does well to get back.
Wow, it's carnage, isn't it?
It's T20 cricket for you, isn't it? Anything can happen.
Absolute carnage. I think Vince fancies Denley here. I think he fancies hitting him for a couple of boundaries before this overs is out.
So 2 balls remain in this over as Denley changes his field slightly, so covers in, extra cover out as Vince bowls. That's racked him on the pad, will be not out.
Good bit of bowling, I think. Quicker into his pads, you know, and that's clever bowling from Joe.
Very experienced cricketer is Joe Denley. Been around the England bubble throughout this winter as Denley bowls to Vince, turned into the onside, that comes through for a quick single. He moves to 47. A few words from Liam, and Kevin James will join you.
So Hampshire 96 for 2 here, playing nicely with 7 overs to go, hoping that they can get to around 160 or 170, and that'll be a very competitive score on this pitch with a small boundary to one side. James Vince on 47 off 44 balls, and Joe Weatherly is on 2 off 5. So plenty of work still left to do for Hampshire here, as will be coming in for his 3rd over here. And welcome back to Kevin James.
Thank you, mate. Another left-arm spinner out there. Don't you wish you were there?
I do.
Doesn't look a lot of turn, though.
No, it looks
Denley looks like he might just get it fractionally off the straight.
Yeah, it looks a belter, to be fair. It looks a really, really good pitch.
Here's Kyan then from the hotel end, bowls, and down the wicket comes Vince, and gives it a thrash, but doesn't quite get it out of the screws as it goes up towards deep mid-on. And the Hampshire total moves on to 97 for 2.
Been a lot better, hasn't it?
Oh, 100%. The intensity of the batting is a lot better. Kent, we know, have been batting well in this competition. Hampshire haven't, but it's, as you say, Liam, much, much better today. Here's Kyan again, and down the wicket comes Weatherly. Chops that to the 45. Throw at the bowler's end from Milnes. Kyan picks up, but quick running between the wickets.
It's amazing how sport you can be so in and out of form, or out of form one day and the next. I think that's the beauty of it. It's so difficult to find that, you know, that place you want to be all the time.
It is, isn't it? You're right. There's a reverse sweep
out
there for Vince. It's in the air. Milnes catches him. Oh, James Vince looks so disappointed At last we've seen him hit the ball around the ground like we know he can. And there he's played an uncharacteristic shot there for him. He goes for 48. Hampshire 98 for 3 in the 14th.
Yeah, you know, you don't really see Vincey playing that shot too much. I think you've got to give credit to the bowler. I think you've seen him try and go and took all the pace off and bowled it shorter, so it would have been very hard for him to hit that over the men with no pace on that ball. So Kayam's bowled very well there, and credit to the bowler.
Certainly has. Kayam then with his first wicket in his third over, 1 for 14. And Vince walks off with 48 to his name of 45 deliveries. Quick word for Sam North East as well. We know he's been out of nick, Liam, but he's 37 off 28 balls. Again, I don't think we've seen him quite with that sort of venom in his batting for a while.
Agreed. I think it gets to a point in T20 cricket where you think, well, what I've been doing hasn't been working. I'm going to go the other way now. I'm going to be ultra aggressive, and I think that's the way you have to go in 2020 sometimes. You've got to live by the sword and die by it. So good to see Sam back in the runs, and more so at the intensity and the tempo that you've seen. You know, even if he was to get 20 off 10 balls today, I'd have been happy with that, due to the fact that it would have changed his complete mentality.
Yeah. It might be too late for Hampshire, but you never know. As new batsman is James Fuller, and he cuts that to point where it's fielded by Daniel Bell Drummond.
Now this is going to be the big test, isn't it? I mean, the middle order of Hampshire, can they get a winning score? And that's going to be the pressure on this middle order now.
Kayam in again then, and Fuller drives again to point, and again Bell Drummond the fielder.
This is a ground as a spinner that you lick your lips to bowl at. Even if it's not spinning, it's such a nice ground to bowl at, because you have such a big area to play with.
Yeah. Kayam just fires that in a little bit on the leg stump, and Fuller's on his way. Picks up a single as it goes out to deep mid-wicket. Such a big boundary away to our left, as we've mentioned before. Huge. And I noticed, actually, I don't know if that was Kuhn, might have been actually coming off the deep mid-wicket boundary. He was well in off the rope, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, to hit it over there, it's an unbelievable shot.
Oh.
There's, you know, you think of people like Simon Harmer, Salterick, Glamorgan, the guys that do play on small, Waller, you know, Van der Merwe, who play on small grounds. You know, when they come here, they must love it. It's such a good ground to bowl spin at.
Yep. Well, I think Harmer enjoys Chelmsford as well, but this would be another ground.
He
if
does
he
in
had
4-day.
He does.
I'm not sure he does in 2020.
No, that's true. Grant Stewart to continue from our commentary in the Rob Bransgrove Pavilion end here at the Ageas Bowl. He has 3 overs, 1 for 20, and he's going to bowl the start of the 15th over to James Fuller. And down the wicket comes Fuller, hits it high up towards mid-off. It's going to bounce short of Heino Kuhn, who's running to his left. He's quick. He might be 36 years of age, but he's still quick.
Good player, isn't he? I mean,
yeah.
Played a few test matches for South Africa. And he's decided to come and play for Kent. He's been a very good player for them over the years. I think 2 years he's been there, 2 or 3 years maybe?
I think it is, yeah. Yeah, Ben Watts will tell us exactly, but you're right. There's the 100 up for Hampshire. That's come up at the start of the 15th. And Kent getting through their overs quite quickly, actually. We've only had about 55 minutes of play. Full outside the off stump, and Fuller guides that out to deep cover, where it's fielded by Leaning. 102 for 3. Fuller moves on to 4. We mentioned Essex, just to say that they're the other game going on right now in the T20 Blast. They're also in the South Group. They're playing the Sussex Sharks, and Essex are 127 for 2 in the 13th. Good start from them.
Good start. Yeah. I think Kent have got a very well balanced side, haven't they, looking at the team on paper?
Yeah, they are. They're an improving side. They've been there's a hoik on the leg side by Weatherly. It's fallen just short of the fielder again. Going for that leg side, Joe Weatherly moves on to 4.
Would you say would you say the best teams are at the top of this table? Sounds silly, but would you, from what you've seen?
I mean, it's such a quick competition this year, isn't it? I mean, you're used to playing, what, 14? You're playing 10.
You can sort of get yourself into the game with a 14 game competition, but 10, you have to start well.
I think it's a brave man to bat against Sussex.
Especially with their bowling attack, without doubt.
And Luke Wright's in great form as well, isn't he? Grant Stewart bowls, that's full outside the off stump, it's wide. A little too wide.
Don't mind that, I think. With that boundary, he's trying to protect where he gets hit, and I think, again, that's credit to the bowler. Went for a wide Yorker, slightly missed it. But, you take that as a bowler.
Bill Drummond's just having a word with him. I think he's just saying, if you are going to bowl that line and that length, then I might have to think about the fielding. But
without doubt, probably third man.
Yeah.
Probably have to go back, square leg up, but I think they've stuck to the same plan, so it'll be interesting to see what he goes with this ball.
Just having a look at the table as well. So Sussex lead it with 9, then Surrey with 8. I mean, good old Surrey, really, haven't they? I mean, they're always missing loads of players. Now, that's gone aerial there for Fuller. Has he got enough on it? Yes, he has. 6 runs up towards the pavilion. You heard the ball hit the seats.
Excellent shot from Fuller. Effortless, wasn't it? Easy swing of the bat and cleared the ropes easily there.
He did it before against Sussex, James Fuller. Hit several sixes in that game at
What
Hove.
a shot.
But this is a bigger boundary here straight. And that is the second 6 of the Hampshire innings.
It's a great shot.
Sam
Easy.
Hawkins took one, yeah. He's a strong boy, James Fuller. Not bowling in this competition at the moment. He's been going for a few too many runs, really, hasn't he? But making up for it with a bat. Low full toss, which he doesn't quite get hold of as it goes hard up to deep mid-on. And Alex Blake, who usually fields in that sort of area, that sort of pressure area, doesn't it, where batsmen hit down the ground.
He's running a lot, isn't he? He's going deep mid-on to deep mid-on.
Yeah.
How far's that? 200, 100 metres, 150 metres?
At least.
It's a long way.
Needs to be fit, isn't he? And he's got an innings to play.
He has.
Played a match-winning innings here last year, you may remember. You would have played in that. Oh no, you were with England, weren't you?
I think
That's
so, yeah.
turned down to the 45 on the offside. Another full delivery there from Grant Stewart outside the off stump, but this time Joe Weatherly was able to just guide that on the offside. 112 at the 3. All right for another over or two?
Yeah, fine, no problem. I think this is...
Have a break because you're going to be speaking to us during the week, during the
That's
break.
fine,
as well.
yeah. I think now, as you've seen, you know, Fuller's come in and he seems to be striking the ball very well. With Joe, he's probably finding it a little bit harder to get his timing. So you'd hope that they've been talking out there that, you know, Joe try and get off strike and let Fuller do some damage and try and hit the boundaries.
Khayyam's off. 3 overs, 1 for 15. Looks like Joe Denley's back on with his leg spin. Tossing the ball from hand to hand as he does with his sunglasses on. It's certainly a sunglasses day here as Weatherly goes on the leg side, sweeps across the line, goes out to backward square, fielded by Kuhn.
What's Fuller doing here then? Something's happening this over without doubt.
I just don't like, because it's such a big boundary on the leg side. I mean, even though I'd probably back Fuller more than most on that leg side in the Hampshire innings, I still think that's too far for anybody, isn't it?
I'd love to see him go dead straight.
Yeah.
Something's definitely happening.
Into out, what's he going to do? He's on the back foot and just somehow tosses it up in the air, bounces a few times to extra cover. I think Weatherly wanted a single. Not even sure Fuller knew what he was doing there. It went to Bell Drummond. He was, wasn't he? I don't think he could quite believe that he'd played the shot he did, and then the ball had landed there, and he just sort of stood there, really. Danny bowls, and that's turned
that could
away.
be 2 runs.
Now, it's a little fine touch on the leg side. Weatherly wants 2. Kuhn comes in and throws it.
Brilliant running.
That's 2 runs, and it's, I tell you what, to Heino Kuhn, that is good running.
You've got 2 of the fittest blokes on the staff out here at the minute in Fuller and Weatherly, so the S&C will be very happy there.
Yeah. I'll get his chart out and just work out how many times they can do it. That's down the leg side. I think he's got a little tickle on that. It runs down towards fine leg. I think there's only going to be a single as Grant Stewart comes round. And it is leg buys. Hampshire total moves on to 116 for 3. We're in the 16th. You
can see that Denley doesn't really want to get, even on the stumps, he's trying to bowl at the pads of Weatherly and Fuller here, not trying to get hit through the offside.
So a much better batting performance here from Hampshire, who have been struggling in this competition, lost their last 3. There's the reverse sweep there from Weatherly. It's in the air.
What a shot.
It's 6.
Woo!
Just to the right of the tunnel as we have a look. And that is well, it's a short boundary side, but as reverse sweeps go, that's a huge hit.
That is an unbelievable shot from Joe Weatherly there. As a bowler, you just say, do you know what? That's a great shot. There's nothing you can do at all there. Good as well. It's gone over easy, isn't it, the boundary? At least 60 yards, yeah.
Third 6 of the Hampshire innings. Weatherly moves on to 12. His partner Fuller has 13. Hampshire 122 for 3. Last ball of the 16th. Denley bowls. Weatherly steps away to the leg side, crashes that up to deep mid-off. But there's only a single. Weatherly's going to keep the strike. And that is the end of the over. 4 overs of the Hampshire innings to go. BBC Radio Kent, BBC Radio Sonic, BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. William, are you going to go now? Do you want to go now?
Up to you.
You could disappear now. Ben's going to do an update for BBC Kent. So that's all right. Yeah, have a disappear. You've done loads. You're working a lot harder than you do when you play and you're fully fit.
Probably out by now.
Liam Dawson, always great to have him on commentary. Has been with us for the last 3 of Hampshire's games, and hope you're enjoying him being around and giving his unique insight, which we do. Just to say that his Achilles is, well, I say it looks all right, but it can't. It's hidden behind a huge boot. But he has to come up a lot of stairs and down a lot of stairs. I probably have to whisper that because of the physio, but he's moving okay, but he's still on the crutches. Here's Matt Milnes into the Kent attack then. That's a slower ball, and that's whipped away on the leg side by James Fuller. 1 bounce 4 behind square. Sorry, Joe Weatherly it is, sorry. Apologies. It was a James Fuller type shot. But it came off the bat of Joe Weatherly, who's managing to hit it all round the ground here. Certainly square. And he moves on to 17 off 12. Got
Yeah.
runs in that abandoned game as well, Ben, didn't he?
Did indeed.
Down at Canterbury.
Good little cameo this at the moment from Weatherly.
68 he hit in a lowish Hampshire total.
Yeah, got runs here last season in the One Day Cup against Kent as well. Got that century. Was that last season or the season before? My memory doesn't serve me very well.
Might be. Oh gosh, I'll tell you what. You're right, because we do. Well, I say we do so many
Must
games.
have
We
been the
haven't this
season
year,
before.
but
Must have been the season before because Matt
you're
Henry
right.
was playing and
Yeah.
Kent somehow won the game, didn't they? But yeah,
oh, that's right. Yeah,
former
too.
loanee of Kent's as well.
We're both going to be doing updates for our respective stations in a minute. I will be for BBC Radio Solent in about 2 minutes' time, in case I suddenly launch into a 20-second update. Matt Milnes then comes in. He's bowling to Weatherly once more, and Weatherly hits that high in the air. It might be caught by Bell Drummond, who's running back from extra cover. Good catch. Good catch. The ball just looked like it was running away from him. He was running back towards deep extra cover, but kept his eye on it well. He was away from the sun. That was the key there, really. He didn't have to worry about the sun that's out at the moment. And Weatherly perishes for 17 off 12 balls. Hampshire 127 for 4.
Yeah, Kent's fielding has been a slightly uncharacteristically below par today with the Denley drop, a couple of misfields, that one from Kuhn at deep mid-wicket when he tried to almost parry it up to his fielder that was with him to get the throw in nice and quickly, and ended up missing the ball altogether. Stewart, there was a misfield from him, I can recall. Normally Kent a liquid in the field, but that was a good take from the captain. Bell Drummond holding on despite the elbows hitting the ground pretty hard. Weatherly on his way. Important for Kent to keep taking wickets at this stage, just halt the momentum of the Hampshire innings towards the end when they're trying to play their shots, trying to accelerate towards the 20 over mark. Lewis McManus, the new man, to the crease.
Yep, shared a useful partnership, didn't he, down in that abandoned game? Helped Weatherly restore Hampshire a little bit. I didn't bat particularly well down there, but these two, actually their partnership together, sort of got an innings, a respectable total, which Kent, bar the rain, would have made mincemeat of.
I got a text the next day after Kent's win, and apparently there's a quote from you saying Zach Crawley ruined the game.
Oh, really? Oh, the 4-day game?
Yeah, the 4-day
Oh, gosh,
game.
did he? Here's Milnes. Here's the update for Solent listeners. Now, Fuller hits that hard on the leg side. That's 4 more. No, it's not. Brilliant piece of fielding, ex-break. We join us. Just a good piece of fielding by ex-break. That's what got me excited. Hampshire are batting much better today than they have in this competition so far. They're 127 for 4. We're in the 17th over. James Fuller's already hit a couple of big shots. He's 15 not out. But the welcome news is James Vince is back. 48 or 46 deliveries. Played some lovely shots, as we know he can. Sam North East played well for his 37. Hampshire 129 for 4 in the 16th. Live commentary right now via the BBC Sport website and app. Ridiculous, isn't it? You wouldn't think I've been commentating day in and day out for the last 3 weeks. 130 for 4. Don't worry, Ben, I'll look after things here the way they are. BBC Radio Solent, BBC Radio Kent, BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra. I hope you're enjoying the game so far. I'm Kevin James. Next to me, BBC Radio Kent, is Ben Watts. Earlier, you heard from Hampshire's injured all-rounder Liam Dawson, and also Southern Vipers batswoman Emily Windsor is with us as well. We're here with you through until the close of play. If you're watching the live stream, myself, Liam Dawson and Emily will be chatting about the first innings during the break. Here's Matt Milnes. Comes in and bowls, and that's full, and that's worked by McManus up to mid-on. Ball just not quite making its way all the way out of the 30-yard circle, so Matt Milnes ran back from his follow-through and helped Alex Blake. Tried to stop him having to run too far off the deep mid-on boundary. 131 for 4 then, Hampshire. Quite an eventful over here wicket. There's been a boundary. There's been runs off every ball so far. 131 for 4. Here's the last ball of the 17th. Bowling to Fuller. Full outside off stump, and Fuller drills that out to deep cover. Fielded by Leaning, and that will be the end of the over. And Ben Watts is back with us. He's in the room.
Doing updates off my phone today. It's almost easier than normal. I don't have to put on a different pair of headphones, and it's all a bit clunky.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because we've had a few technical issues. I mean, without going into too much, there's no need. But generally, when we have to revert to doing things simply, because actually over the years we make things more and more complicated. We try and do this, we try and do that, and we try and make it enhance everything. But actually, when we go back to how it was simple, actually it's so much easier.
Well, glorious day here in Southampton today, and I must say, if you just happen to have accidentally bought a hotel room with a
a balcony view. Cool, you could be out there in your swimwear.
Accidentally buy a hotel room?
Knowing that there's cricket on.
Yes.
Guyon bowls, it's driven hard down the ground up towards long on for an easy single. Hampshire 133 for 4. Yeah, it might be a bit of a surprise if it comes up on your credit card bill. You've accidentally bought a room at the hotel at the GS Bowl. But yeah, well.
But what a way to do it. This one or two people have cottoned on to the idea, as we had the T20 the other night as well. A few people on their balconies with the old lights on.
Kime, the left arm spinner, continues. Attempted sweep shot by McManus into the onside. He's actually going to get 2 here. The fact that he's not managed to get hold of it fully has enabled him to run a couple to the long boundary away to the leg side. 135 for 4.
Yes, we mentioned it before, but we reckon, Ben, didn't we? I think, what did we say? Probably 70 yards?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's a long old boundary, the furthest point. Kime to McManus. There's the big sweep shot. Leaning's out there in the deep, and it's actually gone for 4 runs. He was almost caught in 2 minds whether he could get there for the catch. Last minute, looked like he tried to just stop it, and the ball has snuck underneath his left hand. And again, it's harsh, but that's another piece of below par fielding, perhaps, from Kent's point of view. Another boundary for Hampshire. McManus moves to 7. Fuller at the other end does 18. 139 for 4. So far, 7 off the opening 3 balls of this over as Kime, the left arm spinner, in again. McManus bludgeons him down the ground. That is a huge hit from the Hampshire keeper. And boy, oh boy, has he got hold of that one. 13 he moves to with a 6. Hampshire 145 for 4. I think this is the latest I've ever seen Kime bowl in an innings for Kent in T20 cricket. And at the moment, the spinner's taking a little bit of tap.
Yeah, I think Kent have been caught out here a little bit. They will know that Hampshire haven't batted well in this competition, but there's been momentum in this innings quite most of the way through.
Here's Kime again. McManus this time swings him away leg side. It's going to drop short to the man at long on. Alex Blake will throw it in and keep it to just 1, but damage already been done arguably by Lewis McManus with a boundary and then a 6. 1 takes him to 14 off 5 balls, so the most explosive of the batsmen for Hampshire thus far. Last ball of the over. Fuller's got the ability to hit long. Just turns it away into the onside, and we'll think about a couple here. Oh, he slips though. There could be a run out. They've gone to the wrong end though, Kent. And McManus makes his ground at the bowler's end. Fuller would have been run out by a mile if the throw had come into the keeper after slipping in the turf, as it was. Kent went to the wrong end. Both batsmen get home, couple of runs. Hampshire 148 for 4 here on BBC Solent, BBC Radio Kent, BBC 5 Live Sports Extra, with a couple of overs to go in the first half of this T20 Blast fixture here in Southampton. So in the end, 16 off the over.
Wow, big over as well. Yeah, Heine Kuhn running in. I mean, he would have just been tunnel vision there, wouldn't he? Picked the ball up and just decided which end to throw. I think just as he made up his mind, that's when Fuller slipped. But
yeah, he would have just had to slightly open out his body to throw it to the keeper's end, so bowler's end made more sense. But
just little moments like that, and there's been 1 or 2 earlier where, you know, on another day and the way Hampshire have played in this tournament, it would have gone the other way and we would have seen a run out and, you know, 2 or 3 more wickets at least by now. But things have just gone Hampshire's way a little bit more today, which is very welcome, of course, from a Hampshire point of view. Full toss outside off stump, and McManus is trying to heave that away on the leg side. Didn't really get hold of it, and again, Milnes is fielding off his own bowling, running towards mid-wicket. I think that was the shot there. I mean, McManus has made up his mind. He's going leg side, but actually that is one where you just hold the bat out there, hit through the line. That would have raced off being a low full toss. But again, once you've made up your mind, you're really in not a position to change your mind, but that's fair enough as long as you've decided what you want to do. Now he's going outside leg stump here. Fuller has gone aerial, and that's gone to Blake's right, and that's 1 bounce for 4.
I'm not even convinced he got totally hold of that. No. Sounded a little bit lower end of the bat, but he's such a muscular, powerful batsman, James Fuller. He just forced it, really, leg side, deciding that doesn't matter where Milnes is going to bowl it, I'm going to try and heave it to the shorter boundary. Milnes offered it up well wide of the off stump, but that early movement across his stumps, out beyond the off stump from Fuller. He moves to 24 now. Hampshire 153 for 4. just having a look at the Kent bowling figures, and even with that expensive over last time out, Kayam 1 for 31 from his 4 overs, so somewhat ruining some pretty impressive figures from him. Denley's bowled his 4 overs as well, 1 for 30. Likewise, Stewart 1 for 40 from his 4. This is Milne's last, and then Klaasen will presumably be the man that will bowl the final over.
So the 100 coming up in the 15th, and the 150 coming up in the 19th. That's outside off stump, and Fuller clubs that away on the leg side. 4 more, a little bit squarer this time, a little bit shorter there from Matt Milnes, and it just gave enough time for Fuller to pick his spot.
Yeah, clever batting once again. Milnes has come around the wicket to him to try and create an angle whereby he can't do that. It's a peculiar passage of play. Milnes bowling around the wicket, Fuller batting rather miles outside his off stump. Heaves it away leg side. Kent have got only boundary fielders on the leg side, are at a very straightish mid wicket and a pretty wide mid on.
It was interesting as well, wasn't it, actually? Just a couple of seconds before Milnes even let the ball go, Fuller was already outside off stump, showing all 3 stumps. But again, Milnes had already decided. Well, I think Milnes again had already set himself to bowl the ball that he wanted to bowl.
Yeah, exactly. But if he bowls that a leg stump Yorker, it's probably too quick for Fuller unless he gets a little bit about on it. But yeah, a lot of cat and mouse going on between bowler and batsman at the moment.
Don't forget you can watch the live pictures to go along with our commentary via the Hampshire Cricket website, the live stream. That's we've got a copy of that as well in front of us. There's Milnes bowls. He's over the wicket this time. It's full outside the off stump. That's a slower ball, and that's a really good delivery. Just foxed Fuller, who came down the wicket. Was it a wide as well?
It's been given as a wide, though. I did just hear Liam Dawson say wide, slower ball as he was running in there, so picked it.
He should be an umpire. I'd love him to be an umpire. He's picked it before the blokes even let the ball go, so I know.
At the moment, Milne's just trying to do everything to not bowl it in Fuller's arc, really.
So here's Milnes again. 158 for 4. 9 balls left. Low full toss outside off stump, but Fuller's clubbed that high over mid-on, and that's gone high up in the stands here at the Ageas Bowl. That is out of the screws. 6 runs.
That was just baseball, wasn't it? It was basically a pitch from Matt Milnes. Horrific delivery. And Fuller just big swing at the hip, bludgeons it into the stands. Well, I mean, as much as Milnes is trying to stop him from going leg side, and he's probably trying to bowl the Yorker in fairness, big full toss is not what you want in that situation. And
I'll tell you what,
a bit of rethinking to do. He's struggling in this over. 1-4-4 wide 6.
Yeah, it's a big over, isn't it, really? And normally around about this sort of total is par. I say par, it's sort of, you know, it's a good total and gives you a chance. So yeah, Hampshire have done well here today, and yeah, definitely cause for concern. Drummond and Milnes are having quite a long chat, aren't they? Got to get this field right, because Fuller is capable of doing this again and again.
Exactly. At the moment, Milnes just looks like he wants to get out of this over. Get out of this over with minimal damage. Fuller is just saying, every ball I'm going leg side. They've now brought up third man into the circle. No point. He's not trying to go third man.
34 off 18 deliveries. Here's Milnes then, right arm over, bowls to Fuller. Low full toss, and he's gone big again, and that's going to be 6 more. 6 more runs away to our right. Not quite as far back as the one before, but it's the same result. 170 for 4 Hampshire, and Fuller moves on to 40, and that is just off 19 deliveries. It's getting it wrong, Matt Milnes, isn't he? If it's a Yorker, it's too full.
He can't bowl 2 full tosses to a bloke who's swinging to a short boundary and is more than capable of clearing that boundary with the power that he's got. He's just thrown him a couple of baseball pitches, really, that he's been able to swing away.
So Hampshire really cashing in here and batting more like a side that we got used to a few years ago. Always in the finals and not so much in recent years. Slower ball outside the off stump. Fuller cuts away down on the 45 on the offside. McManus calls him through for a single. The important thing about that single from a Hampshire point of view is that Fuller will face the first ball of the last over.
Yes, potentially a game-changing over, that, from 148 for 4 to 171 for 4. So that's the one big over, if you like, 23 off it from Fuller and McManus. Fuller's now up to 41 in no time at all. 20 balls, 15 off 6 balls from McManus is impressive as well. So Klaasen to bowl the final over. What does Fuller try to do here then? Does he back away leg side and try and go to the shorter offside boundary, or does he just back himself to keep swinging big on the leg side?
Well, I mean, I don't care how well anybody's hitting it. You're not going to consistently pummel that leg side in the air, are you? You're going to perish. Interesting, McManus went straight down the ground, didn't he, the previous over? So he went that way. I mean, the way Fuller's playing, I would back myself to just come inside the line of the ball and try and hit it over extra cover.
Klaasen then down the leg side. The first delivery, trying to cramp Fuller for room.
I think he was. I think he overcompensated. I'm just wondering if he thought actually Fuller might just go leg stumpish a little bit, so he was trying to cramp him even more. But Fuller just stayed where he was. It's all double bluff, isn't it? It's,
yeah, very much so.
Sometimes there's no right and wrong. It's just it can look horrible if it's wrong, and that delivery didn't look great.
Yeah, Milnes' figures look a bit horrible. 4 overs, 1 for 49 after that over. Klaasen bowling the last here for Kent. On the stumps, turned away leg side by Fuller. They run the first one hard. Leaning is the fielder out in the deep. They should comfortably get back for 2 here, the Hampshire batsmen, which they do so successfully. Blue skies everywhere.
It's hot, isn't it, today?
From our commentary position in the Brandsgrove Pavilion, as far as we can see, glorious blue sky, sunshine beating down here on the Ageas Bowl. Lovely day in Southampton. Warm day for the cricketers out there. Fuller already across his stumps here, looking to go leg side once again. Somewhat scuffs it into the mid-wicket region. Oh, there's a slip from Fuller at the bowler's end. He's turned McManus back, and the umpire has stuck his finger up. Jordan Cox, good work from him to flick the bails off, and frustration for Lewis McManus. Fuller, again, we saw it a couple of overs ago, slipping while turning at the bowler's end, sending McManus back. He hasn't been able to get back, so a cheap wicket for Kent. Hampshire 174 for 5 in the final over of the innings.
I'm just wondering if the scoreboard hasn't given them the single, because they ran one and Fuller slipped. That's the second time Fuller slipped, so it'd be interesting to see what footwear he's wearing. Liam Dawson might have a look at that later on. But if they have got the single, which they should be credited for,
yeah, it should be a single.
That is a 48-run partnership, I think it is. Heiner Kuhn with the throw, by the way. Threw it at the right end this time, having chose the wrong end.
Yeah, exactly.
A few overs before, but we won't pick that up too much.
So in theory, it should be 175 for 5.
I think it should be, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's up on the scoreboard now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Well corrected, Kev James. Thank you very much. Liam Dawson, Emily Windsor, also part of our commentary team here with myself, Ben Watts of BBC Radio Kent. As Klaasen bowls, this one's just been chipped straight back up in the air. Holland going deep in his crease, trying to pull it away leg side, and an easy return for the bowler. Although the batsman did manage to cross, so from Hampshire's point of view, they've got their man back at the end that they wanted. Fuller will be on strike, but Holland is on his way for a first ball duck, caught and bowled Klaasen.
Well, it was almost apologetic, really, wasn't it? Really, I think the only doubt there was whether they crossed. Fortunately, the important thing is that they did, and Fuller is back on strike. Chris Wood walking out to the middle. Chris Wood, who's batting for a second time in this tournament, having batted at Lord's. I always think, from a Hampshire point of view, that if you don't see Chris Wood bat too many times, Hampshire are playing well in this competition. If you see him walk to the crease fairly often, you know you don't need to worry about quarter-final or finals day.
Sounds harsh, considering he's coming in at number 8.
I think 8 or 9 he has been, but I just, the Hampshire sides of the past that used to go to finals day for a fun, you'd hardly see Wood bat, hardly see him bat.
Well, he's not going to be facing. It's Fuller on strike, 44 off 22 for Big James Fuller. Short ball, well bowled Freddie Klaasen that. And a chance for Jordan Cox to run out Fuller as well, who had wandered out of his crease, and he would have been out if the low throw from the keeper, rolling it towards the stumps, had hit, but it didn't. So it's a dot ball from the short delivery from Klaasen. Fuller, though, could be on his way.
No, it's Wood. It's Wood batting.
Sorry, Wood.
Yeah.
So they
haven't
cross.
Passed. No, they didn't
cross.
cross. No, they didn't. No, you're right. I just noticed that, actually.
I must admit, I thought they had crossed.
Yeah, I did.
So here's Klaasen then to Wood. Manages to pump it back towards the bowler, and Clarkson has dropped him, although it's really a good stop from Kent's point of view, but palmed it to Crawley at mid-off. So Fuller on strike then for the final ball of the Hampshire innings. 176 for 6. Kent have done okay in this over after the damage, the onslaught from Fuller in the previous one against Milnes, taking him for 23 off and over. Fuller just taking guard then. Final ball of the Hampshire innings. Steps across his stumps, lofts it high into the leg side and all the way for 6 with a slog sweep behind square on the leg side. That is a wonderful stroke from James Fuller, and he goes to a half century with it as well. 4 sixes, couple of boundaries, just 23 balls for the James Fuller half century, and a perfect innings from his point of view, and a great little bit of momentum for Hampshire at the back end of their innings. They finish on 182 for 6 here on BBC Radio Kent, BBC Solent, BBC Sport Online and BBC 5 Live Sports Extra. It's going to be 183 for Kent Spitfires to win the game. That's going to be a stiff task.
Thank you very much, Ben. We're going to stay on the live stream, but listeners on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra, for the moment, we're going to hand you back to Kevin Howes. We will also stay on the BBC Online feed, and I will stay on here during this break in the innings and have a chat with Liam Dawson and Emily Windsor. Well, Ben Watts takes another well-earned break. Can't wait to get off. Hampshire then, wow. We're not used to seeing them play in this. 182 for 6, just while Liam putting the cans on there, Emily. What entertainment, first of all, from James Fuller.
Yeah, it was a fantastic knock, and I also think Lewis McManus, his little knock there, I think got 15 off 6 balls. I think that was a fantastic partnership from both, and really game-changing, actually.
And towards the end there, we were saying about the big boundary side, but Fuller still managed to find the 6 at the end over that long boundary, Liam.
He certainly did, didn't he? I mean, he's played an exceptional innings there, and that's the innings that Hampshire have been looking for the whole competition. They gave themselves a chance. The intent was there the whole innings, and to finish that, I think it was 182 for 6 is well up there with the winning score.
It's above par, isn't it, here?
I think the stats show that 163 is a winning score here, so it's well above the winning score. So you'd like to think if Hampshire bowl well, they're well on top and they should win this game of cricket.
There was fireworks from James Fuller down at Hove against Sussex. 53 not out off 31 balls, which almost got Hampshire in a winning position, losing that game off the penultimate ball. But 50 off 23 deliveries from Fuller certainly provided the fireworks of the Hampshire innings. Let's talk a little bit about James Vince here, Emily. Admittedly, and he admitted himself, he was out of form for the first couple of games, hadn't basically picked up a bat for 5 or 6 weeks. They haven't been able to practice here much at all, if anything. But there are signs there that he's coming back.
Yeah, that would have done him a world of good, really. He spent time at the crease, and you started to see the James Vince that most Hampshire fans know towards the end of the innings, striking the ball cleanly. Obviously, frustrating that he got out when he did, but him and North East, their partnership at the top, 2 senior players, really did set the middle order up to be able to do what they did today.
82-run partnership they put on for the second wicket, and sort of batting at the top end we haven't seen yet this season.
No, not at all. I think it showed the experience of both players there, especially Sam. You know, for him to come in and I think he got 38 off 28 balls, something like that. The intent that he showed that probably hasn't been there in the competition so far will give him huge confidence going into the final 3 games of this year.
Certainly am, yeah. So Hampshire batsmen coming back into form. Hopefully it's not too late in this competition. Hampshire have lost 4 of their last 5 and all of their last 3, so they are certainly up against it. And I know we were chatting just before we came on air, Liam, that you know, even a win today, maybe even sort of win all their last few games, they're still in a perilous position.
Yeah, without doubt. I think it's very hard for Hampshire to qualify, even winning 4 out of 4 games. But said they're still in it. You never know mathematically. So if there's a miracle, it could happen.
Emily, looking at some of the Kent bowling and maybe some of the tactics, it looks at times as though Daniel Bell-Drummond was having long chats with his bowlers. I'm not sure whether maybe he didn't quite know the field that they wanted, or maybe the field that he wanted, where they were perhaps going to bowl.
Yeah, I think that inning, that over from Milnes that Hampshire took 23 from it was really game changing actually, and I think it just didn't really look like they knew how they were going to bowl to Fuller, and Fuller was obviously clearly going to target that short boundary, and they just didn't execute the plans that they clearly wanted to. It looked like they were going wide of the crease, getting him to hit towards that long boundary, but it was probably too predictable really for Fuller.
And Imran Khayyam, a fellow left-arm spinner, Liam, 4 overs, 1 for 31, probably just about, along with Joe Denley actually, with his leg spin, 1 for 30 from his 4. That would suggest that maybe taking pace off today might have been the way to go.
Yeah, without doubt. I think, you know, most teams, or when we play here, I think if you look at the economies and the best bowlers, it usually is pace off the ball. I think both spinners bowled nicely there. I think Khayyam's last over went for probably a few too many than he'd have liked, but that can happen. But he bowled nicely. But if I'm not being biased, but I think, you know, the best spinner still to bowl out there today, and that's Mason Crane. And with 182 runs to defend, I think he'll be a massive part of this next 20 overs for Hampshire.
Now, you've been in the dressing room many times at the break during these T20 games, probably many times when Hampshire, maybe in the not so distant past, have picked up decent totals. I mean, this is a good total, there's no doubt about it. It's a good wicket, we know, we just talked about that. But what is the tactics from here on in?
I think early on you're obviously looking for that new ball to swing with a freebie, early wickets, and with a chase like this, if you do get a couple of early wickets, you know, the game becomes so hard as a batting team. But Hampshire know that if they stick to their basics, they bowl their best balls as much as they can, you know, there's enough runs on the board that the batsmen will make mistakes, and they're going to have to come hard, the Kent batsmen, because the run rate is already at 9 and over. Yeah.
They've got some big players though, Kent, haven't they, Emily? Zach Crawley, of course, we know all about, and I saw him score that 100 in a 4-day game. My word, he looked a class above absolutely anything else on the field. That's a phrase that's often used, but believe me, he really was. So you've got him to worry about. Daniel Bell-Drummond with the 4th most runs in the competition so far. He's in good nick as well. And Alex Blake has been a thorn in Hampshire's side from time to time. Actually hit a winning knock here last year in the final over, I remember, hitting, I think it was Chris Wood down the ground a couple of times to win the game for Kent. So, you know, Kent are a formidable batting lineup here.
Yeah, they certainly are, but as we've said, it's a good total and they've got a lot to do, and with them chasing this score, they can't just, you've got some fantastic bowlers in this lineup, you've got Shaheen, you've got Crane, they can't just pat the ball back, they're going to have to do something, and however good form you're in, sometimes it's just not your day, and I think obviously they're coming back from a loss as well, so they really want to be bouncing back, but I think it'll be a tough total to chase whoever you've got in that lineup.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, that probably the 2 areas of Hampshire's that have been better than the batting has been the fielding. That was much improved, wasn't it, on Saturday, Liam? We saw that up at Lord's. And the bowling looks fairly steady as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think our bowling, you know, for the last few years has taken care of itself. We've been pretty good with the ball. But as I said, they've got nothing to lose out there today. You know, they probably know that they're out of the competition. So they're going to be up and about, they're going to have a lot of energy out there, they've got runs on the board, and there's no reason why, you know, they go out there and enjoy it. Nothing to lose, as I said, and go and win a game of cricket.
It's a good wicket, we know, the total obviously shows that. Would you expect more than 5 bowlers to be used? I mean, is there going to be a bowler here that's going to go for a few? Is it that sort of wicket?
I think, yes, I guess you never know, but in 2020 cricket, I think it's very rarely that one bowler doesn't usually get whacked. So yes, I think there will be, especially with the smaller boundary to one side. But we'll have to wait and see how Kent play.
Okay, so you're watching the live stream. The 2 umpires are just making their way out onto the middle. You're also listening to us via the BBC Sport website. Myself, Liam Dawson, Emily Windsor there, talking you through the break. Ben Watts from BBC Radio Kent will be back along shortly, so stay with us, because in a couple of minutes or so's time we're going to hear or described the reaction or the reply of Kent's to that Hampshire total of 182 for 6. Remember, Kent lost their last game to Sussex. Hampshire have lost their last 3 to Surrey, Sussex and Middlesex. There's one other South Group game taking place this afternoon. The Essex Eagles are taking on the Sussex Sharks. And after 20 overs, Essex batting first, finished on 197 for 5. And Dan Lawrence with the top score for the Eagles with 81 from just 44 deliveries, 4 4s and 4 6s. That sounds almost as an entertaining knock as James Fuller's, almost. Very nearly. Thank you, Emily. I think Ben Watts is going to come back. Do you want to just take a break for a moment? Thank you, Liam Dawson, as well. They'll be back in a moment. Well, I think we'll do very similar to what we did in the first innings, if that's all right with you guys, if everybody's happy. So it'll be myself, Kevin James and Ben Watts to take you through the initial overs. And then Emily will take over from me, and then Liam Dawson will come in for Ben, and then we'll swap as we did before. So if you were listening in the first innings, you know roughly the rota, because I haven't written anything down. I've forgotten to pull those out. Thank you very much. Of course, with this the COVID times we're in, we've all got our own earphones. So there we go. Liam's is just plonked on the floor. Hopefully there's no COVID down there. I don't think there is. So here we go. It's going to be Shaheen Afridi with his left arm. He's bowled some rapid balls in this competition so far. Only took 1 wicket on Saturday, his first wicket in the competition. He's worked hard for that, but in between time, he's got the ball through at a fair rate of knots once or twice.
This is going to be a good little duel, this. Shaheen against Zach Crawley, of course, 276 in the test match. England-Pakistan on this ground. He'll be pleased to be back here. He's been in good form in the T20 as well. Shaheen in and bowling. Crawley drives him on the up through extra cover for 4 runs. It wasn't far away from Sam Northeast, who moved away to his left at extra cover. But Kent up and running with a boundary straight away.
Bit of width, and if you're in nick, you find a way of putting those away, don't you? Lovely shot, lovely piece of timing. You're right, it was a bit aerial, but even so, that ball absolutely raced away to the long boundary side. BBC Radio Kent, BBC Radio Sonus. I'm not sure Sports Extra are back with us, but we're also on the live stream via the Hampshire Cricket website, which I presume Kent Cricket are taking it as well.
Yeah, I hope you're enjoying the commentary and the pictures wherever you're watching. Whether that's even in the hotel at the opposite end of the ground.
Yes.
Be sweltering up there today. Warm day here in Southampton. Shaheen in, he's got a slip in play as well. Bowling to Zach Crawley, back of length, turned away into the onside for a comfortable single. So Crawley up and running with 4 and a 1 on the first couple of balls. Kent 5 without loss, 183 their victory target after that explosive end to the Hampshire innings. 50 from James, full and not out. Also contributions from James Vince, 48. Sam Northeast, 37. 17 Weatherly, 15 in quickfire time from McManus as well from the keeper. Here's Drummond on strike to Shaheen. Good quick delivery on off stump. Just trying to drop it and run into the offside there, Drummond, but plays defensively. He's been arguably more explosive than Crawley in this competition. I'm just going to break off for an update.
Sure. Yeah, he's had a good competition, hasn't he? 4th highest on the T20 run charts currently, 257. Averaging 51, Daniel Drummond. Top of that list is Luke Wright. This before this round of games with 285, so not too much in it. Drummond on the rich vein of form. Here's Afridi bowls, and Drummond just guides that down to 3rd man. Mason Crane comes in off the boundary at the far end of the ground. Remember, we're at the Rob Bransgrove Pavilion end for these commentaries, usually at the hotel end, but not during these COVID situations that, of course, we're all under. We've moved to the pavilion side, so just as good a view, just as high, just looking down on as directors on the play, but at the opposite end of the ground. So we look out towards the hotel now.
Shaheen on to bowl to Crawley once again and beats him for pace outside the off stump. Slip had been taken out. Crawley, relatively little foot movement there, just kind of offered the hands at it and didn't really get near the ball. So good zip from the Pakistan international left arm seamer. First came across him actually when Pakistan were over a couple of summers ago, and he played against the likes of Crawley and Jordan Cox and Ollie Robinson and a few others. It was almost a Kent B team that Pakistan played at Beckenham, but Shaheen was impressive that day. Now a few more people know about him after his performances this summer. It's full and just patted really by Crawley. He was eyeing up a more full-blooded drive, but he's ended up just pushing it out towards extra cover. Nice quick single. He has 6, Drummond 1, Kent up and running with 7 off the opening over of the run chase here at the Ageas Bowl.
Yeah, you mentioned Crawley's double 100 here, of course, in the test match. I was just looking at Afridi's figures in the test matches here. 2 for 121 in one innings. So he hasn't found it that easy. 1 for 25 in another one in those couple of tests. So sometimes there's a lack of swing here at this ground, and I know he's a bowler that does rely on swings sometimes, and certainly when he's at his most devastating, when he swings the ball into the right-hander. It's not necessarily a ground that's big for that.
Yeah, a little bit slow, the wickets in that test as well, weren't they? Which won't have helped him.
Here's Wood, who got a left arm over attack as Crawley comes down the wicket and works that out to deep mid-wicket. Fuller comes in, cap comes off as he flows in. Great throw right over the top of the stumps, but the Kent's England batsman, Crawley, home. He's on to 6.
Didn't run the first one particularly hard there, actually. He's, I think it was Bell Drummond who realised that there was a 2 on there as it was turned away. The fielder's right out, well, probably 5-10 yards in off the rope.
Yep, here's Wood. Yeah, you've got to come in quite close if you can, or close-ish. That's worked on the onside. They may look for 2 again here, as Crane does a lot of work to do. Runs from deep square leg to deep mid-wicket, and as the Kent field has found, that is such a large area that you want to come in. You have to come in from the rope, but you don't want to come in so far that if a shot goes in the air over your head, that's not ideal. So it's a balancing act, isn't it, for both sides out there?
You can almost back yourself to get a single from the throw, such is the distance.
11 without loss then, as that's struck through the offside by Crawley. Lovely shot on the up, 4 runs.
Yeah, gloriously played, all hands from Zach Crawley. The way he's just angled that square drive in the gap, opening up. Got quite a nice wide stance, that front leg out the way just to swing the bat through the line if needs be, and just meant it was all hands, all wrists from Crawley.
Wood again from that hotel road end, hotel end that's pulled away out on the onside. Fuller comes in, and they'll keep it down to a single this time on the long boundary side, and Kent in the the second over here are 16 without loss, with Crawley on 15. Started well again, hasn't he?
Yeah, decent enough start from Kent.
Bell Drummond's only faced a couple of deliveries so far. He's on 1, facing his 3rd delivery to Wood, and that's a length ball which he just dabs out square on the offside, and that'll be a single. Joe Weatherly, the fielder there.
Yeah, those fielders on the offside, very much on the back of the 30-yard circle, trying to stop a boundary rather than necessarily a single. Good to see Liam Dawson doing his rehab.
Yeah, he's doing all his exercises that he's being told to do. It's an interesting one. Here's Wood again then. Oh, he's just played it into his pad there, Crawley. He was just trying to work that out of the offside. The ball does go out on the offside into that cover area, and they'll pick up a single. That's 2 overs gone of the Kent reply. Remember, they are chasing 183 for victory. After 2 overs, they are 18 without loss.
It's audio evidence of Liam Dawson doing his rehab there for the physio.
It's making a few noises there. I'm not sure. They're not noises that's hurting. It's more, do I really have to do this?
Boredom.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
He's got a fancy piece of kit with him, I must admit. Nicely wired up the back of the thigh. Out there on the field, Shaheen ready to bowl his 2nd over. Crawley on strike. Smashed square, but straight to cover point on that occasion. That will have stung the palms of Joe Weatherly.
Yeah, looks like he likes a bit of pace, Zach Crawley, doesn't he, on the ball? It makes his booming drives go even quicker.
Yeah, he's got long limbs. Some of us are not quite blessed with such long legs and arms, and he's able to offer the hands at the ball. 16 for him off 10 balls thus far, and now Weatherly being sent out to the duties on the deep cover boundary. 3rd man comes up. Shaheen with the number 40 on his back, the Pakistan international, in and bowling. Crawley goes across his stumps and whips his away leg side and may well get 4 for this. Fuller dives and can't quite cut the ball off. I think he got a little bit of hand on it, but was unable to haul it in. So Crawley gets a boundary. I think it ended up being a low full toss as he walked across his stumps there and deliberately tried to go leg side. Yorker, yeah, just over pitching.
Good shot, actually, because if anything, the ball just shaped to go away from the right-hander as well last minute. So Crawley did well to get that ball behind square on the leg side.
Again, 22 without loss in the 3rd over. Crawley has 20 of them. The England international. up against Shaheen, cutting hard into the offside, but into the ground. And they will come through for a single. 21 with 2 for Bell Drummond. Crawley taking most of the strike, and Denley back in the side after being released from the England bubble after many a year opening the batting for Kent in this format, having to settle for the next man in. Such has been the form of this pair so far in the competition. I mentioned earlier on in the piece that a couple of times they've scored in excess of 80 runs in power plays this competition so far, and as Shaheen bowls to Bell Drummond and plays a big booming attempted drive, she plays and misses that outside the off stump. Only once have this pair got less than 49 as a partnership so far in the competition, and that was against Sussex last time around, arguably the best bowling attack in the South Group, although Essex seem to have got hold of them a few times today with that very impressive score of 197, was it, from Essex? 197 for 5, so that gives them a real chance of causing a little bit of an upset against the side currently top of the group. Shaheen bowls, Bell Drummond leading edge into the offside for a single, and Shaheen so far seems to just be unsettling Bell Drummond with his pace.
Yeah, he's just pitching it up and he's just getting a little bit of sort of reverse, just a fraction, just enough. But he's decided to pitch the ball up. Well, he certainly has the last few deliveries, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think it's just, certainly from Bell Drummond's point of view, that little bit quicker than the average bowler that you'd face on the county scene. Bell Drummond just, is the width of his bat being tested, or I think the umpire just getting his piece of equipment out to test the thickness of the bat Bell Drummond's using. Shaheen now to Crawley, 24 without loss. Kent goes for a big drive and ends up dragging it leg side. Well bowled once again from Shaheen Shah Afridi. 1 run to end the over, so 7 off it. Kent 25 without loss after 3, chasing 183 to win.
Ben Watts is going to continue from BBC Radio Kent. I'm going to make way for Southern Vipers batswoman and finalist Emily Windsor.
Looks like it's going to be Ian Holland who's going to bowl from the hotel end of the ground, the 4th over. Crawley 22, Bell Drummond 3. Three overs remaining in the power play here on BBC Solent, BBC Radio Kent, BBC Sport Online as well. McManus up to the stumps, Emily Windsor on the mic, and going to take commentary of this over.
In comes Ian Holland to Crawley, that's turned away into the onside. Fielder out there would just be a single. Crawley moves to 23, 26 for no loss. And I think Kent will be very pleased here with the start. Crawley just looks in fantastic touch, doesn't he?
Yeah, he certainly does. That big score he got for England, he's come back to the county scene after the test matches against Pakistan and continued that form on in this competition.
In comes Ian Holland to Bell Drummond. He's tried to ramp it, it's missed everything, keeper's not got on it, and that will be 5 wides. Score moves to 30 without loss.
Yeah, that's not a shot I've really seen Daniel Bell Drummond play too much, and well, I've been watching him for his entire Kent career really, but certainly in depth for the last few years, so it was a pretty unorthodox shot for Bell Drummond to try. The man's up in the circle at fine leg, keeper up to the stumps, and as a result he's got a little bit lucky there. Leg side delivery from Holland. McManus has now decided he's going to stand back after missing that one and costing his team.
In comes Holland to Bell Drummond, gives himself room, hits that over the offside, that's gone high into the air, there's fielders chasing after it. Well, they'll come back for a couple. Bell Drummond moves to 5.
Yeah, didn't quite get hold of it, did he? That is the shot he likes to play, just gives himself a little bit of room into out, over extra cover, maybe down the ground, over mid-off as well, likes to club it in that region. Plays with his hands quite close to his hips, so he can get that little bit of cut on the ball and play it square of the wicket.
Holland to Bell Drummond, gives himself room again, it's gone over the offside this time, and that will go all the way for 6. That's a fantastic shot. He did find the middle of the bat this time.
Yeah, just where we were seeing Bell Drummond struggle against the extra pace and the angle of Shaheen, Ian Holland is bit more military medium or fast medium, and then right arm over the wicket, a more familiar angle to Bell Drummond, so he knows that he can back himself to go into out, shorter boundary, and he's got hold of that one, pierced it over extra cover for the 6.
Good over so far this for the Kent Spitfires as Holland bowls, gives himself room again, this time turned away into the onside. Man out there does the fielding, and it's just a single. Ryan Stevenson that is out there to our left.
Thought he'd almost got hold of that to an extent that it was going to carry to that fielder, as it was a drop fairly well short in the end. But Bell Drummond skipped on to 12 off 8 balls in this over. 23 for Crawley, who's on strike.
40 without loss Kent. Power play very important here for them as Holland bowls turned away into the onside. They think about a couple here and they stick for the single. Stevenson in to McManus, the keeper. 41 without loss. Crawley 24 off just the 15 deliveries.
Yeah, better ball that one from Ian Holland, getting it right up in the block hole, and Crawley just playing the percentages, turning it away leg side.
Holland again into Bell Drummond, gives himself room, he's gone through the offside, caught, and that's caught at a short third man. Mason Crane the man in there, and Bell Drummond is dismissed for 12 off the 8 deliveries. 41 for 1 then, Hampshire.
It's almost the T20 equivalent of a slip catch, isn't it? The flat one that goes to short third man. Bell Drummond again giving himself room, trying to go over the infield on the offside, and has just got a really thick edge on it. And safe catch. It went to Mason Crane pretty swiftly, around about shoulder height. Good catch with the reverse hands, fingers pointing to the sky. And the Kent skipper dismissed for 12.
That's the informed man as well. He's been scoring runs for Kent in this competition. But the batter incoming is Joe Denley, England one-day player. So two men that have had a summer in a bubble and a lot of cricket, no doubt. 41 for 1.
Certainly a lot of cricket in the nets, at least, for Denley. He's not actually played loads of matches because of the fact that he's been in that bubble, and he's sometimes been a reserve and was dropped from the test side when Joe Root came back in after paternity leave, and Crawley kept the spot. So he'll be eager to make his mark and try and get a win for his team after the defeat to Sussex on his return. It's going to be Chris Wood to bowl the 5th over, replacing Shaheen at the pavilion end of the ground. And Crawley again, all hands, square drive, angles that backward of point down towards third man for another 4. So he moves to 28 from 16. Kent 45 for 1 after 4.1.
That's a hell of a shot, that. Every time the ball hits Crawley's bat at the moment, it seems like Hampshire are fetching it from the boundary rope. He's certainly in good nick, and the ball just keeps finding the middle of Zach Crawley's bat.
Yeah, Kent's success so far in this competition, and they're currently residing in the top 3 in this group, as Wood bowls around the wicket to Crawley, and he swings this away leg side. Is it going to go all the way for 6? It is. 2 men were posted out on that boundary, but Crawley, full flourish of the bat, swinging hard to the shorter leg side boundary, gets it away for 6 runs. The Kent 50 comes up. 4.2 overs gone. Kent's success so far in this T20 Blast competition has come from them going big in the power play, and the likes of Crawley and Bell Drummond giving them that strong start. Crawley now 34 off 17 balls as Wood bowls to him again on leg stump. Yorker length delivery. Crawley's ended up on the floor actually after flicking that away leg side, and he'll get a single. Good
delivery that from Wood. Yorker at his feet there, and it's given him no length to hit through to that shorter boundary to our right. That's fantastic comeback there from Chris Wood, and a very experienced T20 bowler.
Certainly is. He'll have bowled a few times at Joe Denley in power plays over the years. The right-handed batsman just giving the pitch a little bit of a prod. Wood's going to revert to bowling over the wicket, the left armour. Extra cover a little bit tighter in as well. Denley turns this away leg side, happy to take a single as Holland collects. So 4-6, and then a couple of singles in this 5th over of the Kent innings. 53 for 1 the Spitfires.
Makes a hell of a difference as well, doesn't it? When you get some boundaries early in the over, takes the pressure off towards the back end. There's change of field now to Crawley. A deep mid-wicket, a long on. And square now up in the ring, offside ring field.
Wood around the wicket to Crawley. It's a full toss and it's been smashed away through cover once again by Zach Crawley. 39 for him from 19 balls. And his third boundary of the over. 2 4s and a 6. He moves the Kent score up to 57 for 1 now. And the England man on his return to the Aegeus Bowl, ground where he scored that double century for England against Pakistan in the test matches, is absolutely loving being out on the pitch here at Southampton once again.
Certainly is. Hampshire again fetching the balls from the boundary ropes as they bowl to Crawley.
Wood on the leg stump. And he's just running this one up towards long on to keep the strike for the final over of the power play. So still one more over where Hampshire are only allowed 2 men outside of the 30-yard circle. Kent 58 for 1 at this stage. Hampshire were 35 for 1. Their acceleration came once Vince and North East got their partnership going, and then once Fuller and McManus got going at the back end of the innings. Kent looking to accelerate from the off. Crawley's strike rate at the moment is 240 off 20 balls for the big 6'5" opening batsman.
That's the difference, isn't it, in T20? You can see, especially Crawley, he's a man in form. He's got his confidence, he's playing his shots, and he's backing and executing at the moment. Whereas Hampshire, you can just see they wanted to have some time at the crease because they hadn't got a score yet in this competition, and that's the difference between the batsmen at the moment. As Shaheen bowls to Crawley, that's length, that's driven down the ground. Mid-on comes round James Vince, the skipper, that is.
Yeah, it's a good point, Emily, the fact that Crawley has just been able to go from ball 1, whereas the likes of Vince and North East just took their time to get themselves in. Probably took, what, 20 balls really before James Vince really started to get clicking. Likewise, North East before he hit a couple of boundaries away to the shorter leg side, whereas Crawley, as I say, those long limbs of his, it's hard to bowl to him because he can get that extra stride down the pitch. Exactly.
Third man's gone back then as Shaheen bowls to Denley. That's hit him. That won't be a run. And a little hobble away there from Denley. Mid-wicket came up. And for a minute on that length, I thought that ball was going straight over mid-wicket.
Where did that hit him? We're just seeing the replay now on the live stream.
I think it was just on his leg, wasn't it? Oh no.
Midriff for Denley. That will have been a little bit painful.
Show no pain though. Mid-wicket still in the ring, third man back. Long run up Shaheen from that hotel end. Here at the Aegeus Bowl, blue skies as Shaheen bowls, and that's driven up down the ground. Fielded well there at mid-off. Come through for a single. Denley moves to 260 for 1 Kent.
I do wonder if this over from Shaheen wouldn't have been planned by Hampshire. I reckon they'd have probably been hoping to only use a couple of his overs in the power play and then save a couple for the latter stages, but Kent's fast start has almost forced their hand in giving their overseas gun bowler an extra over in the power play to try and get a wicket.
Shaheen to Crawley, that's a fantastic shot. That's over the top of mid-off. The ball's bouncing away. Fuller does really well to come around. Oh no, and he slid past it. That's gone for 4. Should have been stopped that by James Fuller. He did all the hard work getting there, but that's 4 more to Crawley's total. He's on 45 now of just 22 deliveries, 64 for 1.
That was quite peculiar really, because as soon as it came off Crawley's bat, I was with you, Emily. I thought he'd absolutely smoked that. As it was, he'd almost just chipped it over the infield, and the ball wasn't travelling that quickly, and Fuller, who'd done well to get all the way around the boundary, took his eye off the ball and has misfielded and allowed it through for 4.
Shaheen bowls, giving himself room through the offside. This time Joe Weatherly does well there at cover. No run.
Yeah, there are a collection of men in yellow at cover point and third man, and Crawley unable to squeeze it in between them on this occasion, as he has done so well.
Weatherly there, interesting.
End of the over, Kent 73 for 1, 7 runs taken off the 7th over. Kevin James.
So I'll be doing an update for silent listeners very shortly on the south coast, just in case you suddenly hear me burst into a 20-second update. Yes, we're on BBC Radio Kent, BBC Radio Silent, BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra, with Kent 73 for 1, and that man Zach Crawley, who enjoyed himself here just a few weeks ago, scoring 257 for England, is enjoying himself once more here on this ground.
Well,
he likes this wicket.
Yeah, he certainly does. Here's Emily Windsor's tip for the key man.
What, for the 3 o'clock at Haydock?
In a Hampshire bowling attack. Mason Crane on to bowl the 8th over from the hotel end of the ground. We're not allowed to share our tips for the horse racing here on the BBC, Kev.
We aren't, no, you're right. Maybe there's no 3 o'clock at Haydock, so I'm all right.
That's probably true.
Not today,
probably
anyway.
3:05. Crane bowls, Denley steers this up towards long on for 1. Crawley ran hard enough that he was potentially thinking about trying to come back if he could. An easy enough single. So Denley, 9 from 9. Considered start from him. But for Zach Crawley, 48 off 25. It's been a impressive start, and he swings hard away to the leg side, and this may well go for 4. This is going to be the 50 for Zach Crawley from just 26 balls. It beats the 2 fielders on the rope. 26 balls, 7 fours, 1 6. Crawley through to a half century.
Such a powerful batsman. You know, you talk about power in a batsman. This man has it in abundance. Unbelievable power hitting from him. It goes hard along the floor. I see what his forearms are like, but there's something in there.
Crane bowls to him. He whips this up towards long on. Just those long levers as well. The timing that he generates and hits the ball so hard. Although he's impressed in the red ball format, wouldn't bet against him having a career in the England side and the white ball team, maybe in a couple of years' time when a few of the current stalwarts have moved on. Denley on strike as Crane shuffles in. A little bit of width cut away by Denley, out towards deep cover.
You know, the best description I've heard of him, Zach Crawley, recently was your director of cricket, Paul Downton, Kent's director. I spoke to him after the game when Crawley got 100 off 105 balls in that 4-day game last week before. He said he's the new, or will be the new Kevin Peterson.
Crane bowling to him. Drives it away off the back foot for a single. Rob Key said to us on BBC Radio Kent he thinks he'll be the best Kent batsman to play for England since Colin Cowdrey. So that, again, both lofty comparisons.
Whether he bats like Colin Cowdrey or bats like Kevin Peterson, I think I'll go for the Peterson.
I think you're probably more right with the Peterson style, very much more Crawley, as this one's driven hard by Denley out towards wide, long off. It will just be 1.
And without being totally rude, because I know him well, as long as he doesn't bat like Graham Cowdrey, you're all right. But I know Graham really well, so I know he won't mind me saying that.
No, he won't. 8 overs gone. Kent's 82 for 1.
To be honest, if anybody bats like any of those, you've got a first-team player there anyway. Here's the update for silent listeners. Very shortly, you can hear the in my ears. So 82 for 1 off 8. What a good start here from Kent. What another good start from Zach Crawley. My word, if ever there was a batsman that has just turned a corner from sort of being an okay player to being a serious player, it is Zach Crawley. Ben Watts will take a bit of a break, and coming in next to me will be Hampshire's injured all-rounder Liam Dawson. Just get the earphones sorted out. As Ian Holland, the Hampshire medium pacer all-rounder, is into the attack from the pavilion end. There's a drive by Denley. I think that's hit Crawley a little bit as it goes out on the onside. It wasn't timed. It didn't. Don't worry, Kent listeners, Kent supporters. It didn't hit Crawley particularly hard. 83 for 1. What do you reckon here at the moment, Liam? Exactly 100 needed by Kent here.
Yeah, I think Kent on top. You know, they threw a lot of punch, didn't they, in that first 6 overs and got ahead of the game. And it's going to take a lot for Hampshire to get back into this. And I think the key is, like Emily said, down to Mason Crane now.
Holland it is. Crane's on the other end. His first over went for 9. Here's Holland bowls, and that's worked on the onside by Zach Crawley to Crane, who's coming in off the boundary at deep square leg away to our right. The short boundary side here at the GS Bowl. And the Kent Spitfires are 84 for 1, needing 99. We're in the 12th. We're in the 9th here. I wish we were in the 12th from a Hampshire point of view, but we're in the 9th.
I think the body language seems a little bit down, doesn't it, from Hampshire? You can see a side that are struggling.
For sure. Here's that update. Holland bowls. It's turned away on the onside. Looks like we've got a cracker of a game on our hands here, because Kent are 84 for 1 in the 9th over. And Zach Crawley, the England batting sensation, a few weeks ago, 257 for England. He's added again here, 55 in lightning quick time. That's come off just 29 balls, and he's still out there and timing the ball like nobody else. 182 for 6 Hampshire made. That was a decent total, more than decent total, built around James Vince's 48. James Fuller with a quick fire 50 off 23 balls, providing some firepower at the end. But Kent are 89 for 1. Live commentary right now by the BBC Sport website and app. Was that another boundary I missed?
Another boundary.
I was
Good
too
shot,
busy looking at the
sweet
stats. As often happens. It's a good job it wasn't a moment with wicket, but fortunately you've got your eyes on it.
It was a good shot.
Liam.
It was a slower ball from Holland, and Crawley sort of got inside the line and swept him behind deep square leg for 4.
Here's Holland then, bowling to Crawley on 59 then, and Crawley works that on the onside.
Excellent running.
Oh, 2. Should they have got 2?
No, not again. I think especially to this side, you shouldn't be getting 2s to that boundary. It's so small. I think it just shows it. It just shows, you know, where the two teams are at, doesn't it, in a way. Kent full of confidence. Hampshire, with that score on the board at the break, would have been very, very happy. Close up, well, should have been a winning score. But now, you know, Hampshire very standing off in the field. The body language isn't great, and, you know, they know that they're massively behind the game.
50 partnership between these two as well. Come off just 29 deliveries. Emily Windsor will be on after this delivery. And that's hit out on the offside, up towards deep mid-off by Zach Crawley. Chris Wood coming in off the boundary. It was interesting, wasn't it? You could tell the Hampshire players were up after their innings. They know they got a big total, but Kent have made big inroads, haven't they, early on? 92 for 1, comment from Liam Dawson, and Vipers batswoman Emily Windsor will be alongside him.
Yeah, Kent obviously well on top here. Hampshire a little bit behind the game after posting 182. Mason Crane is looking to come on for his second over. He's gone for 9 runs so far, but he's going to be the big bowler in this remaining 11 overs for Hampshire. The wrist spinner obviously spins it both ways, and he's going to have a bit of magic for Hampshire to get back into this game. As we welcome Emily.
Welcome back. Yes, Zach Crawley just looks like he's not going to miss a ball anytime soon as Crane bowls, swept, and that's a fantastic shot. Middle of the bat, the fielder's got no chance. 4 more runs to Zach Crawley, he moves to 66. And what more can you do as a bowler there?
I think it's amazing when you play and when you bat. I think there's not many times in your career when you bat well, you obviously don't think of anything, and anything that you do comes off. It goes for 4, you hit the ball in the middle of the bat. I think the last sort of month or 6 weeks in this lad's career, that's exactly the zone he's in. He's obviously not thinking about much. He's watching the ball and playing on complete instinct. 96 for 1 then as Crane bowls. Swept again, swept hard. This time squarer, that's 4 more. Fantastic shot again in the words of Dawson. Wow. Yeah, speechless there, isn't it? I mean, what can you do as a bowler? Mason, you know, very, very good length delivery as we can see the replay. He's gone a little bit slower, a little bit shorter, but Zach Crawley's been, you know, up to the task, and he's smashed it in between deep mid-wicket and deep square leg for 4. So those fielders were a few off the rope on that long boundary. Crane's now told them to sit as he's bowled into the pitch, this time cut to the cover sweeper. The man comes round, and Tom Alsop does well there, but they come back for 2. It looks like, well, I'm not sure if that was 4 or not. No, only 2 runs, very close to being a 4, but well fielded from Tom Alsop. You're bowling now, Dawson, to Zach Crawley. What are you thinking? What would be your, how are you going to get him out? Listen, I think he's playing so well. I'd be looking just to get him off strike and bowling as much as I could to Denley, because the run rates, you know, it's still, I think 8 and 9 and over, is it? This Crane bowl swept again, this time not got hold of it, and Chris Wood, the left-hander, comes in and does the fielding, just a single. Yeah, the run rate's just under 8 and over, so I'll be looking to get Crawley off strike as much as I could, and looking to bowl it at Denley, who's only on a run of ball 13 at the minute, and try and build the pressure through that way, and try and get Denley out and build from there. In comes Crane to Denley, bowls turned away into the onside. He's hit a pocket here, so they will come back for 2. Crawley is quick between the wickets, even though Denley's slipped, but they come back comfortably in the end. I'd like to see a field change if I was James Vince here. I'd like to move the 45 into that mid-wicket area, just so they can't keep hitting into that area and getting easy 2s, because at the minute there's very, very low risk there cricket from Denley, so it'd be nice to move the 45 and bring your deep square leg further round and see if he'll dink sweep and bring some risk from that way.
In comes Crane to Denley.
Oh, no.
Quicker ball. That's into the pitch and not got hold of it. Finds Fuller at long on. Picks up a single.
Nice to only go for one that ball. Isn't it?
Yeah. But you wouldn't want to be bowling that to Crawley, otherwise
No,
I feel
you
like
wouldn't.
you could be
You certainly wouldn't.
fetching that from Portsmouth.
I think someone, you know, this is where someone in this Hampshire team, senior players, have got to step up here, get a bit more energy out there in the field, because we certainly do look a little bit flat and a little bit standoffish. We need to sort of try and take the game by the scruff of the neck here and throw some punches back at Kent.
A couple of wickets as well, that changes cricket, doesn't it? It's hard to get going straight away, and if Hampshire were to get a couple of quick breakthroughs here, especially if Crawley's one of those, then they need to have that fighting spirit.
Without doubt, but it just shows, you know, talked a lot on this on the show today, that you can see that a team is very low on confidence now. You know, as soon as Kent have started to fight back, we've sort of been a bit more standoffish. We haven't looked to put the pressure on them. Whereas, you know, if we were playing good cricket and they're in this situation, the belief to win would be there, and you'd see the fielders buzzing around.
So conversations here from originally with Sam Northeast, who's obviously been captaining while James Vince has been out whilst having his second child, and now Vince and Stevenson.
There's going to have to be, you know, Hampshire are probably going to have to use their sixth bowler here that they haven't really used in this competition. Fuller hasn't bowled, I don't think, in this competition yet. And I think it'll either be Vince or Fuller from the hotel end that are going to have to come on and bowl maybe an over or two.
So fine leg, square, mid-on the rope, mid-wicket in place in the ring. And cover out as Stevenson bowls to Denley. And he's just tried to work that down to third man. They come through for a quick single. Denley moves to 17, 107 for 1.
What would you do if you were James Vince?
I think you've got to get a wicket, haven't you? And I think you obviously, as you said, want to be bowling at Denley as much as possible, but Denley's no mug, is he? He's a class player, and I just think wickets do slow that run rate, and if these two are there at 20 overs, we're not going to get to 20 overs.
Doubt.
As Stevenson bowls, and that's shorter, and that's worked down to third man. Lovely by Crawley. That's not the length to bowl when you've got this field, and Crawley moves now to 77, 111 for 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting plans, isn't it? I mean, to bowl that ball with that field, you know, as a batsman, you're sort of licking your lips. Any pace on, you know, at that length with third man end point up, you know, you're very happy for a bowler to bowl that.
I think I've seen James Vince turn his arms over here. Could he be an option?
He's an international bowler now, isn't he?
He's got a wicket. Has he let you know about that?
Well, I gave him a drink when he got the wicket, and he certainly reminded me.
In comes Stevenson. So Crawley bowls, and it's inside edge, and that's probably the first time we haven't seen it hit the middle of Crawley's bat, and he comes through for a single.
I mean, they've got to do something different, haven't they? They're Kent are cruising at the minute, and that sixth bowler is James Vince or James Fuller, so it'd be interesting to see if Vincey just decides to go himself, which you're right, he looks like he's warming those legs up.
And does Vince bowl a lot in the nets?
He started to. He wants to try and be a genuine all-rounder in white ball cricket, so hopefully he can keep practicing.
In comes Stevenson to Denley, gone for that leg side. One bounce over the rope for 4. Now Denley's coming to the party here for Kent. He moves to 21, 116 for 1.
Yeah, again, with that field, probably not the greatest of delivery to bowl with, you know, with your mid-wicket up there. But credit to Denley. You know, Hampshire are really flat here at the minute. They've got to make something happen in this game of cricket. You can tell it's a side that's near the bottom of the table and lacking a lot of confidence now.
I know you're sat here next to me, but I think for Hampshire fans, you'd want a Liam Dawson here who can bowl your 4 overs for not many runs and make it hard at the other end. And Stevenson bowls, shorter delivery, flat batted to mid-wicket. Tom Alsop comes round and does the fielding. But I think the importance of your overs, not only taking wickets, but to produce those dot balls, to produce those low-scoring overs, mean they have to target that other end, and I feel Hampshire are missing that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're only playing one spinner, aren't we? I mean, you know, usually you'd want to play 2 spinners here, and that's been successful for our bowling attack, so we're obviously missing that other spinner.
Stevenson to Crawley, that's hit over the offside. Fuller comes round and does the fielding, but they come back for 2. As Fuller sat on the rope, because that shows you how well this man Crawley is hitting the ball. He moves to 80 now off 39 deliveries, striking at 205. We're certainly watching a fantastic innings here.
We are. I mean, this kid's playing unbelievable cricket now. As you said, he's striking at 205, and anywhere anybody bowls him, he seems to be hitting the middle of the bat. So he's in the form of his life, and he's certainly a player that, you know, in a year or two's time could be targeting white ball cricket for England.
And it is the skipper, James Vince, coming in to the attack, taking it upon himself here to take that wicket. Having a few warm-up balls to Sam Northeast.
I think if you look at the field as well, it's there's not much more Hampshire can do. It's very defensive. At the minute, almost just sitting in, waiting for something to happen, as opposed to trying to make something happen and getting back into this game.
In comes Vince then, right arm over bowls. That's a length delivery, turn into the onside. Chris Wood does well there, coming in quickly. Just a single. So what does James Vince bowl then? Obviously, Hampshire fans have seen him bowl a little bit, but...
I don't want to give all his tricks.
Hopefully the Hampshire fans won't be facing James Vince anytime soon.
He just tries to do a job, a few slow balls into the wicket. It'll actually be quite effective to this long side.
Let's see as he bowls to Crawley, and that's hit him on the pad. They're appealing.
Could be close.
The umpire does not move. James Vince on one knee, almost begging there. They come through for a leg bye.
I think the good thing is that he's obviously a part-time bowler, but he knows what he's trying to do. You know, to his plan here, he's trying to get out to that side. So, you know, you won't really see him get hit through the offside unless it's a very good shot from the batter.
Vince then at the top of his mark from that hotel end. Long boundary to our left side as he bowls to Denley, who advances and swats it away. They'll probably come back for two here, and they will come back comfortably. Mason Crane does the fielding out there. Actually, no, Ryan Stevenson.
I think as well, teams know how to play now against us. You know, I remember when we were really successful in this format of the game, teams wouldn't really hit twos against us. They try and hit sixes, and we'd beat them easily. But now teams know exactly how to play here. The ground's so big, and as a group, we probably haven't adapted, you know, how we should to play here, which is very, very frustrating.
So McManus just called for his helmet. He's now going to stand up to the stumps here, stop the batters out their crease as Vince bowls to Denley, and that's hit through the offside. That's hit hard, but we'll only find Tom Alsop, a sweeper out there, come through for a single.
I think now if I was James Vince now, I'd be saying to Mason Crane, you know, look to get me a wicket. You know, take a gamble. You know, bowl, but be as attacking as you'd want. You know, don't look to sit back. Look to try and really spin the ball and get the batsman out.
So 1-2-4 for one as Vince bowls to Crawley, and he's missed outside the off stump, and they've appealed for a stumping, not out. The umpire says. McManus looks a bit frustrated.
What the replay will
there.
show.
Hampshire earlier, 182 for 6, so Kent require 183 to win here at the Ageas Bowl.
No replays there, not showing it on the screen, which is annoying.
And interestingly, Vince looks as though he's got Crawley
making
in a
things
little bit
happen.
of trouble. As Vince bowls again to Crawley, and that's turned away.
That could be 2 runs.
Side.
That is 2 runs.
Yep, come back comfortably there, and that is now 1-2-6 for 1. 82 now, Crawley. He's had 42 deliveries for that 82, and it's been a fantastic innings here. All those Kent supporters, if you're watching the live stream, you'll be very impressed with what you see so far.
It's been all around the wicket as well, isn't it? Front foot, back foot, hard sweeps, cut shots. You know, any place that he's wanted to hit the ball, he's been able to do that. And he's been absolutely brilliant for Kent, and you know, the lad deserves 100.
So interestingly, gone to Shaheen Afridi here.
Yeah.
So it's final over.
It's a good move, isn't it? I mean, you know, we're desperate for a wicket now. We've got, you know, people watched the England game last night. Morgan, how he sort of brought his best bowlers back early to try and get back in the game, and this is exactly what James Vince is doing here with Shaheen Afridi. He's desperate for a wicket or two to try and get back in this game.
Yeah, right move by the Hampshire skipper, James Vince. So field here, mid-off is up in the circle. 3 men out on the onside and a cover, and the 3rd man is back.
I'd love to see a slip. Just take a gamble, because if one goes through there and you haven't got someone there, it'd be very, very frustrating.
So Shaheen is coming around the wicket to Joe Denley, bowls, and that's full and straight, hit into the onside. Crawley runs the first one hard, but the sub fielder Calvin does well. And just, I don't know if you saw while you were off air, Joe Weatherly went off after being hit quite hard on the hand by Zach Crawley.
Really?
So the sub fielder is now on. So fingers crossed for Hampshire fans. Joe Weatherly, the man in form, we don't want him to be maybe have a fractured finger.
This ground's cursed, isn't it? Everyone gets injured here.
In comes Shaheen to Crawley. That's full
Shot.
driven through the offside. That was a conventional cricket shot that has gone over the rope, and Crawley moves to 86. 1-3-1 for 1.
I think you have good players, don't you? You have good players, and you have good players of seam bowling and quick bowling. But this lad has, you know, Shine Afridi is quick. You know, he bowls. He's a very, very quick bowler, upwards 90 miles an hour. And this lad Crawley has so much time, and that just shows how good and how better he is than you know, than some of the batters around the country. He has so much time against very good bowlers.
In comes Shaheen again to Crawley. That's whipped away onto the onside. That is a massive 6. That's almost top row of the stands to the right for those who know the Aegeus Bowl, and he moves now to 92. 1-3-7 for 1.
I mean, what do you say about that shot, apart from unbelievable? That's world class, that. I mean, that is an unbelievable cricket shot. You know, he's bowled, as I said before, he's bowling quick, he's bowling good pace, and Zach Crawley, you know, he's playing a different game out there.
He certainly is. It just sounds different, doesn't it, when the ball hits Zach Crawley's bat. So Shaheen's now coming left arm over the wicket to Crawley. Not sure that will faze him at the moment. He's on 92 as Shaheen bowls Yorker. That's a fantastic delivery.
It's quick.
1-3-7 for 1.
What are you doing next over, Mason Crane?
It's got to be.
Has to be, doesn't it? Got to make a play now, James Vince and Hampshire. Have to take a wicket, you know, because Kent are going to win this game with 2 overs to go at the minute.
And exactly as you said, Vince needs to go to Crane. Just go attacking, get me that wicket.
I'd be tempted to bring him on from this end to try and buy a wicket and get him to hit to the short side and try and get a wicket that way.
In comes Shaheen to Denley, bowls, and he almost thinks about 2 shots there. I think that was a slower ball, but pushed into the offside for a single. Denley moves to 28.
What's Crawley thinking here? Singles to 100, or is he going all out boundaries?
I just don't think he, as you said earlier, I don't think he's thinking.
Agreed, I don't think he's thinking anything.
He's just watching the ball and hitting it.
That's exactly what he's doing.
Wherever he wants to hit it, the ball goes and goes very quickly at the moment. There's Shaheen, top of the mark. International bowler, Shaheen Afridi. What can he do here for Hampshire as he bowls to Crawley? That's driven down the ground. They come through for a quick single. Chris Wood does the fielding. He moves to 94, 140 for 1. Just 1 boundary now away is Zach Crawley to 100. What a fine knock it's been.
It has. I mean, obviously people, if they're not watching on the stream and just listening on the radio, you know, it's worth watching the highlights tonight or tomorrow, because Zach Crawley has been unbelievable here. You know, he's playing a completely different game to any other batter that's batted today, and he's showing his class.
So listening here on BBC Radio Kent, BBC Radio Solent and BBC Radio 5 Live Extra, and listening to what is a hell of an innings here. We're very lucky here to be able to watch this innings from Zach Crawley, especially if you're a Kent fan, as Mason Crane has come into the attack as we predicted, as Crawley bowls and Crane bowls. Reverse sweep, that's 4 runs. You just can't bowl anywhere to this man. He moves now to 98, 140 for 1.
Pull the stumps up. Come in now. I mean, what can you do there? I mean, he's just taking the mick. James Vince has moved one of his points to mid-wicket to try and stop that easy 2 or easy single into the leg side. And Zach Crawley has just decided to, you know, take the mick and hit it exactly to where the point field had been for 4.
Tell you what, I'd love to be Joe Denley at the moment, wouldn't you? In a T20 game, just watching this, not having to do anything.
Imagine we had a crowd in, you know, a big crowd on a hot day. They'd have been treated to something absolutely special here.
In comes Crane to Crawley on 98. They swept away onto the
4.
onside. That's 4 runs. Well batted, Zach Crawley. That is a fantastic knock. 102 off 48 deliveries. Helmet off, raise your bat. That is a fantastic knock.
Yeah, that's up there with one of the best T20 innings I've ever seen. You know, and I think a lot of players on that pitch as well will say that's one of the best they've seen. You know, it's been controlled. He's played proper cricket shots, and he's made it look very, very easy.
And just 35 runs required now for Kent as Crane bowls again. Turned away into the onside. Get your 100, get off strike. He moves to 103, 149 for 1.
Exceptional. I mean, if you're a Kent player or coach Matt Walker, you know, he'd be over the moon with Zach Crawley. I think the maturity showed as well. I think he's only around 22 years of age. To play like he's played and how sensible he's been, and the risks that he's taken, you know, has been amazing.
Crane to Denley advances. He's gone over the
Shot.
extra cover region. He hasn't got all of it, so Tom Alsop will come round and do the fielding, but they pick up 2. And I also think it's just a team out of form, out of rhythm in this competition. It's just Hampshire's luck, isn't it, to get Zach Crawley on a day like this.
But it just shows the confidence that they have as a side, Kent, chasing down a big total, which at the break I thought was a winning score, but I've got it horribly wrong.
150 up now for Kent, 151. As Crane bowls to Denley advances. That's hit over mid-wicket. That's a fantastic shot. Middle of Denley's bat now. 4 more runs to Denley. He moves to 34 off just 25 deliveries. And the score now 155 for 1.
I think, you know, we've lost the plot, haven't we, a little bit here. I think the quicker this game's over, the better for Hampshire now. Just need to get off the field and, you know, and have a look at the performance today.
In comes Crane to Denley. Reverse sweep. Appeal there from just Mason Crane, but I think he got some bat on it, come through for a single. Denley moves to 35, 156 for 1. So they have a score here in the Self group. Sussex are 104 for 2 in the 12th over, chasing 197 for 5. So a good game at Sussex down at Hove against Essex.
Who are you backing to win this competition?
I think Sussex look good.
Because of the bowling attack?
Yeah, I think they look a great attack, and I think especially if Phil Salt does come back, but although he's in the England bubble now, I think he's a fantastic cricketer.
I think this Kent team are very good, but I do think their bowling, it lacks a little bit. It's, you know, there's not much mystery there. There's no pace really. I think if they had an absolute gun bowler, I'd put them up there as a team to really have a chance of winning it.
But I mean, with Zach Crawley batting as it is, they can be chasing 300, couldn't they?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
But no, I totally agree. I think bowling's probably Kent's weakness. But
no, without doubt, definitely.
Chris Wood back into the attack then. Let's see what this Hampshire legend can do. That's an outside edge from Denley, come through for a single. Chris Wood, I always find, probably similar to yourself, loves to come in when there's a battle. He likes a battle. He likes to make something happen, and he'd have to do extremely well here. He
always bowls the tough overs, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Always in the power play, always at the end. So it's not an easy job to do at all.
Experienced white ball cricketer now as he bowls to Crawley. That's wide outside the off stump. That's dinked down to third man. They will come back for 2 here.
No.
As Fuller throws at the bowler's end. 2 runs to Zach Crawley. He now moves to 105 off just 50 deliveries, I hate to say.
I wouldn't say we've been very smart to that long boundaries of fielding group, have we? I mean, the state of the game now that, you know, 2s, we need to get wickets, so it's worth coming in an extra 5 yards. And if they hit it past you, so be it. But you've got to stop those 2s there.
Yeah, Crawley's certainly playing with him as Wood bowls again to Crawley. Oh, he's gone for that dink down to beat that third man. It's a rare dot ball.
Yes, yeah, would have been better if it was a wicket, wouldn't it? Yeah.
159 for 1. 24 now needed for Kent here at the Ageas Bowl.
What a day as well. 27 degrees, not a cloud in the sky. An absolute fantastic show put on from Zach Crawley so far.
In comes Wood to Crawley, and that's outside the off stump, full Yorker length, and they just come through for a single while bowled Chris Wood.
Would you have done anything different with Hampshire's team today, or would you have left it?
I potentially would have liked to have seen the leg spinner Calvin come in again, just because, as you hear, I think 2 spinners are important, and we saw what their spinners did. They were the pick of the bowlers, but obviously he's young, quite inexperienced, so it's a risk.
Yeah.
As Wood comes into Denley, that's hit hard out through the offside. The man does very well there to cut that off. That's Ryan Stevenson, and they come back for a couple. Denley moves to 38 now. The one man to go for Kent was Daniel Bell-Drummond for 12 early off the bowling of Ian Holland. 1-6-2 for 1. Chris Wood be bowling.
What do you think Chris Wood's thinking now?
Could be a hero. In comes Wood to Denley. That's hit down the ground. That's hit hard. There is a man out here. James Vince takes the catch. And Denley is dismissed for 38 off 28 deliveries. 1-6-2 for 2. Maybe too little too late here for Hampshire.
Yeah, I mean, it's a decent ball, isn't it, with Chris Wood? He's sort of trying to bowl to his field, going wide Yorkers, and he's got it far enough under the bat there, and Denley couldn't quite get enough elevation on it, and James Vince has took a good catch on the boundary at mid-off. Yeah,
certainly Wood always picks up the wickets at the right time, but I don't think there is a right time now, is there?
No, there's not at the minute. Yeah, I think this game's well and truly gone for Hampshire.
So the incoming batsman for Kent is Heino Kuhn.
He's been a good player for Kent over the couple of years that he's been at the club. Yeah, he's a South African. I think he's on a coal pack deal, I think. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year.
So I will leave you with some words from Liam Dawson, and Kevin James will join you.
If you're just switching on, it's been an absolute masterclass from Zach Crawley today. He's on 106 from 52 balls. He's been a class above, and Hampshire, they got a good score on the board, but Kent are cruising at the minute. They're 162 for 2. I think James Vince has turned into Mason Crane for one last throw of the dice. He's actually currently bowled 3 overs, none for 39. So he ideally needs a couple of wickets to sort those figures out. As we welcome back Kevin James.
Thanks, Liam. I know you're going to disappear in a moment. I think Ben will just be over. You're right for a minute or so. But, yeah, we've been treated to an absolute show, haven't we, this afternoon? Heino Kuhn trying to work that away on the offside, gets a bottom edge, goes into the ground, and there is no run. I have to say, and I guess we all thought 182 for 6 was pretty decent total, but Kent are going to chase this down fairly easy, which is...
If you swap it round, if Hampshire were chasing that, you'd have been very hard.
Certainly. Here's Crane again. There's a reverse sweep there from Kuhn. It's gone very fine.
That's 4, isn't it?
And that's going to go all the way, just about. It does. Ian Holland diving on the 45. Couldn't quite get there with his fingertips, and Kuhn's coming to the party here now. He's on 4, 166 for 2. Kent needs 17.
Got the teapot for Mason Crane, hands on his hips, saying, "What are you doing? Why do you not field that?"
Yeah.
He's actually, he's gone for 43 runs, but they've played some unbelievable shots of him. You've just got to accept that as a bowler sometimes.
Yeah, you do. I'm not sure he's the accepting type, though, unfortunately, as it's 166 for 2. There's no reason why he should be, is there? That's a turn to mid-wicket fielded by Sam at northeast.
The big difference is that Kent, they've put a lot of pressure on Hampshire's bowlers from ball 1 when they've come in, haven't they? I mean, they've played unbelievably well.
Fantastically well. Crawley, 106 off 52, unbelievable stuff. Kroon
shot
smashes that through extra cover for 4 runs. Well, he hasn't wasted much time. Down the wicket to Crane. Cross-batted front foot shot past James Vince at extra cover.
It's an unbelievable shot, isn't it?
Yeah, looks like he's got a train to catch as well.
He's come in, and Kent have really showed, from that first over the power play that went for 10 off Chris, was it a Shiner Freedy? They've really set their stall out to win this game easily. Yeah,
it's been good to watch, actually. It doesn't matter who you support. There's a lovely sweep shot, but it's going out very quickly. In fact, it's only palmed away by Chris Wood. They come back for 2. Very quick to realise that Wood didn't pick that up cleanly, and Kuhn, who's probably about as aware as anybody out there in the middle of what's going on.
This is from a player's point of view, this is so frustrating to watch.
11 needed as Crane comes in again, and Kuhn cuts that away hard to point. Tom Alsop on the cover boundary, comes round to his left on his good side where he throws and keeps that down to a single, and Spitfires are 173 for 2 here, needing just 10. We've got 4 overs to go, and really they've made absolute mincemeat of this Hampshire total, which we did think was a pretty decent one. In fact, Dave Allen, Hampshire's honorary archivist, tweeted me earlier at Solent Sport, and I missed it. Apologies, Dave, but it's Hampshire's 2nd highest total against Kent here.
Is it really?
Yeah, 197 Hampshire got in 2008 here.
Just shows, doesn't it? I mean, the difference in the two sides. Why Kent are challenging to qualify, and why Hampshire are out of this competition. Kent have played with full of confidence with their bat, and Hampshire haven't been at their best at all with the ball here.
Certainly haven't. So 173. Ben's ready to come in if you want to take a break, Liam. Thank you very much. Liam Dawson, great. I know many people have, there's other tweets here that said it's been great listening to you once more. So thank you, Liam. He's been doing his exercises in between his commentary stints as well, so have no fear. He's doing everything that's required of him to get back. But it won't be till next season. Ben Watts from BBC Radio Kent back with us. You should take up commentary, actually, Ben, with Kent close to finishing this game, if you want to.
Stevenson to Heino Kuhn. Just glides this one down towards third man for a single. Just listening to both Emily and Liam on commentary there, just hearing from those two the admiration and the almost disbelief at the quality of the innings that Crawley has played. Joe Denley, the perfect foil, out for 38. Rare for him to be at the crease for Kent, not having to be the aggressor. He's just had the best seat in the house from the non-striker's end to watch what has been an absolute masterclass from Zach Crawley back on this ground, which I'm sure he'll be putting at the top of his favourites list. Full toss, driven hard down the ground for a single by Crawley after that 267 for England here against Pakistan. He's now 107 off 53. Strike rate of over 200. 14 fours, couple of sixes, all the shots.
Oh. I think there would never be a better time, actually, to ask Zach Crawley to play here permanently. I think he should become a Hampshire player. He obviously loves this ground.
If I was the chairman, I'd be having a word with his agent, saying, when's he out of contract, when might he want to come, how much does he want? Full delivery, driven up towards mid-on for a single, or long-on rather, for a single by Heino Kuhn.
Paul Downton, if we're listening, we're only joking, of course.
You're not having him. Yeah, the Bromley-born batsman wasn't really the standout player coming through the age groups at Kent, but just when he was starting to come onto the staff, Sam Billing said, this young lad's got something. Rob Key pretty much quickly jumped on the bandwagon as well. He's chucked a lot of balls at him in the nets over the years, I think, as Crawley glides this one down towards deepish point for a single. Those two are very much chairman and president of the Zach Crawley Appreciation Society. I just do the memberships. I'm the secretary. Self-appointed secretary. Get in touch with me. Drop me a DM if you want to join. Stevenson bowls. Kuhn drives for 4 runs. Glorious stroke from Heino Kuhn, who's come in, and as he so often loves to do, tries to hit those early boundaries. The reverse sweep. Cover drive here off that half volley from Stevenson. With the ball remaining in the 17th over, Kent now 181 for 2. Just need a couple of runs to win.
Unbelievable. I can't believe how easy it's looked. You know, that total would have put a lot of sides under pressure. Not Kent.
Stevenson in and bowling. Kuhn just nudges this into the onside. He's going to scamper through for a quick single. The scores are level after 17 overs. Hampshire 182 for 6 earlier on, and by all accounts, we thought that was above par.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
And Kent have reached that score with 3 overs to go.
It's been a good wicket, there's no doubt about it. Good wicket for both sides, not just because Crawley smashed it around. I mean, he's in a good nick anyway, but it's been a good wicket to produce runs. Slightly short boundary one side, which has helped things along at times, but I have to say, I mean, this Kent batting order, with Crawley in it, looks a serious batting order. Without it, it still looks pretty decent, but I can't believe how easy they've made this look. Really easy. I mean, it's very, you know, I know, and it's been mentioned about the body language, that sort of thing, and it's not great, but when you're being smashed around and pummeled like this, it is easy to get down. You know, it is very easy, and you need something just to give you a lift, and Crawley has not given them an inch, not even half an inch, not even a speck.
In and bowling, Heino Kuhn cuts this away to backward point. There is the victory for the Kent Spitfires here at the Ageas Bowl. They reached their target with 2.5 overs to spare. Kuhn 19 not out in the end, but it was all about one man really, the run chase here in the Southampton sunshine. Zach Crawley 108 not out from just 54 balls. His efforts took the stuffing out of Hampshire and have seen Kent over the line to victory, and with things continuing to proceed between Sussex and Essex, the county ground, could well be Kent going back to the top of the South Group table tonight.
Thank you very much, Ben. We will continue on the live stream for a few more minutes, having a chat with Liam Dawson and Emily Windsor, just bisecting parts of the game. And if you want to stay with us for a few minutes on the BBC Sport online website, you're more than welcome, of course. But listeners on BBC Radio 5 Live Sports Extra, I'm going to hand you back to Kevin Howes as Zach Crawley, for the second time in around about a week, gets a huge round of applause from the Hampshire players, and I don't know, I wouldn't say begrudgingly, because it has been entertaining, and I think even if you're on the receiving end of that, I think you would have to agree that's a high quality innings from a man who, you have to say, Emily Windsor, looks every inch an England player.
Yeah, he certainly does. Every time the ball hit the bat, it just sounded different, and he was absolutely outstanding today. I think that's genuinely one of the best innings I've watched in a T20 Blast game. And obviously, I've watched a fair few now, and I'm just so grateful that I could be here to watch it. Imagine that with the crowd in. The crowd would have been in for a treat.
Liam, I know you were a bit frustrated a bit, you know, watching him, but I mean, from a professional cricketer's point of view, you've got to stand back and admire that, haven't you?
Yeah, it was unbelievable, wasn't it? I mean, you know, he played some fantastic shots. I think the way that he played Mason Crane was exceptional. We didn't even bowl badly to him, but the way he decided to sweep him, you know, at will really, and dissect the two fielders on the boundary to the big boundary was highly skilled. And I think everybody knows that he's certainly